Field in the background, that's our ground cam. If you're watching over on the live stream, and then inside the RV, which is where we are broadcasting from, Mike Clemens going to be joining me coming up here momentarily, and we'll talk with him coming up really more near the bottom of the hour. That's the high perch cam, so to speak, and a little bit up in the trees, but nevertheless, you got Lambeau Field in the background. Beautiful sunny skies today. You've got fans going over to the Ray Nitschke Field and the Hudson Center, and we've got a beautiful day for Packers training camp. Number 2 practice today. Number 2. Good to have you on board. It is a glorious day, not just because the Green Bay Packers are on the practice field. And for those of you that listen to the show, you follow sagas that we go through, myself, Ben, Grant, obviously. Today is the day. I got here this morning. The kids are here. They're riding their bikes. They're hoping that a Packer or two will grab their bikes today and ride the bikes over to the practice facility. And we got here this morning, got set up, and the kids took off. They couldn't wait to get the hell away from me. So they grabbed the bikes, grabbed the phones, and off they went, and took my credit card. So they're over somewhere running around, maybe at the pro shop, who knows. And so I got set up, got the cameras perched high atop the cruiser. We got one outside the cruiser. We got one inside the cruiser. And now, Grant, I know that you and I kind of chatted via Instant Messenger, but if you've ever had a kidney stone, have you ever had one?
No, I have not. I'm hoping to avoid that for as long as possible.
Yeah, I would avoid it for as long as you possibly can. I had one. I started feeling a little bit off, I guess maybe April. And finally, a little after that, I ended up going to the hospital, and everybody knows the saga. I was in there, and it's just miserable. And they told me how large it was, and they said, well, you're going to have to pass it on your own, blah, blah, blah. And over the last week, I haven't been feeling well, and I just haven't talked about it on the air too much. And so I went back, and they said, look, this thing is sitting right there. We re-x-rayed it. It's too big to pass. We're probably going to have to set you up and go get it. So I'm like, oh, crap, because everything's coming up. You know, I mean, we're here today, Road America this weekend. Next week, we're going to Sturgis for 10 days. I just, you know, I'm kind of like, oh, God, I just want this thing to be done. So I'm sitting here setting up, finally got all the cabling run, got a drink out of the refrigerator. This is really nice because you're in the friendly confines of your own home. And we're right outside of the Best Western in D2, the sports bar D2, which is right next to us. You can see the Tito's display right there in the tablecloth or the table umbrellas. And I thought, man, I better run in and go to the bathroom before we start the show. And it was, you're standing there, you're like, man, you feel like you got to go, but you don't. And then came the pain. And then you could literally hear it. That was it. Stone came out. And it was large. But it was a screaming Kramer in the bathroom and the guy falling off the high wire in Seinfeld moment. But now it's the relief. It's you're dancing on the way out the door. So it's a glorious day. Packers on the practice field, and I passed the kidney stone today. So today's a banner freaking day. I don't even know what else. And we can end the show here on that note. And
yeah, I was going to say.
Call it a day, yeah.
10:06, we can wrap it up. Close
right?
up shop. Enjoy Green Bay.
That's awesome, man. Coming up here at the bottom of the hour, Mike Clemens going to join me inside the RV here, and we are going to discuss some of the things that he saw yesterday. Mike will chat with us a little bit, and then he's going to head over to the practice. We are here. We're going to see some of the practice. So it's a glorious day. And then after we get out of here this afternoon, off to Road America we go, where tomorrow, man, I love the Xfinity drivers because they're the ones that want to make a name for themselves. They're the ones that are still climbing their way up the ladder. And I think we've got like 6 of them on tomorrow. I think we've got 6 of them. Clemens tomorrow. We're going to talk with Zach Heilprin today. Do we know what time Zach's going to join us? Because Big Ten Media Day continues, but the Badgers speak today.
We're figuring out when works best because he's going to be wanting to talk to a lot of those Badgers. Right. So I'm trying to set up the best time with him.
Right. Yep. So we'll touch base with Zach Heilprin at some point today and go back down to Indianapolis for Big Ten Media Day. So we got you covered. We got you covered all over the place. Big win yesterday for the Brewers. what a nice outing. You and I were kind of chatting back and forth yesterday on Instant Messenger about Freddie Peralta. He had 7 strikeouts or 10 strikeouts through 4 innings, and was just dealing yesterday. Looked really, really good. They get a couple of clutch hits, and lo and behold, they ended up winning that ball game. So they win the series against the Reds. They win the season series, dominating Cincinnati. Back to a 1.5 games up. Off today. 3-game series begins tomorrow in Atlanta. And then if you can get 2 out of 3 against Atlanta and tie that season series, boy, that'd be huge. Because then after that, the schedule, you get a little breathability. Now, we are creeping up. We only have 3-4 days left, and then you got to figure out, what you're going to do as far as the trade deadline goes. So I know all the rumors and innuendos are starting to heat up. Brewers are, with an off day, the Brewers are looking for a bat. Maybe you have a couple of guys that you can trade, can travel. So our ears are to the ground right now, and we'll find out if the Brewers are going to make a move, yay or nay. But today we're getting very close to something being done. So that's also in the works. So big day today in so many different ways. But excited to be here in Green Bay, and glad for all the people that stopped by earlier and said hello and took pictures and all the other stuff. We had a blast, a lot of fun, and we'll do it before we get out of here this afternoon. Ronald says, bad thing is the Brewers head off to Atlanta. The good thing is the Reds go to LA and then to the Cubs. Yeah, and then after Atlanta, the Brewers' schedule gets a little bit easier. So that's the positive when you talk about, things that you really are kind of hopeful for. You really look for maybe the Brewers after they get out of Atlanta to get some more inroads to building that lead over Cincinnati before it's all said and done. So, and Cincinnati's not going to go away. Their offense is stellar. It's whether or not they pick up enough pitching to be able to sustain. But, we talked a little bit about that yesterday, who they're kind of eyeing, who may be or may not be some of the people that, they could be eyeing that the Reds could be going after. So, they're looking to do a number of different things. The White Sox righty Dylan Cease, Lucas Giolito out of the White Sox organization. There's Lance Lynn, the former Cardinal. Also the Tigers, Michael Lorenzen, who actually pitched for them some years back. Eduardo Rodriguez, the lefty. The Padres, Blake Snell. The Mets, Jose Quintana is being rumored about. So the Reds have a lot of options to find themselves some arms. And meanwhile, we just kind of wait for the Brewers to do something, so to speak. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. We'd love to hear you. Also, don't forget, now, this is one of the interesting things because the Cardinals are sellers. And this weekend's going to feature the rivals, the Cubs. The only foray into Busch Stadium this season after they squared off in London back in late June, remember. But this time around, the excitement a lot different for these two ball clubs. Now the focus is on which Cardinals may soon be leaving before the trade deadline and what the return may be. The Cardinals are in kind of a seller's mode, not a fire sale, but seller's mode. They're going to keep they're trying to keep every intention to competing in 2024. So they're probably going to keep Goldschmidt, Arenado, Jordan Walker, Nolan Gorman. Those guys are most likely going to be around. But if the Cardinals desperately need pitching, what are they most likely to trade away? And will they deal Jack Flaherty and Jordan Montgomery? Flaherty and Montgomery have alternated between being the Cardinals' most reliable starters all season, but they are also the most frustrating assets as well. Both are going to be free agents this coming offseason, and the Cardinals would rather deal them now for a multiplayer haul than risk losing them for a little more than a compensatory draft pick this coming winter. So the Cardinals are also up for sale, so to speak. So they got a lot of options right now in St. Louis. By the way, Giolito was traded. He was traded, so there you have it. Yep, they went to the Angels. So there you go. 877-867-1670. I'm kind of flipping through this right now because I'm trying to find all the trade rumors and innuendos and then things that are actually being done. So some of the stuff I'm reading from yesterday, and it was some of the stuff happened in the last 24 hours. So my apologies. Anyway, here at Packers training camp yesterday, I thought it was interesting when Matt LaFleur got into the discussion again. Very excited about the beginning of training camp. Very excited about Jordan Love. Jordan Love obviously talked after the practice yesterday, and we're going to hear more from him coming up here in just a little bit when Mike Clemens joins us. But look, there were people that were listening to that press conference yesterday as we were playing it back that were not impressed. I guess might be the best way to put it. Oh, he sounds very bored. He sounds very cliche. He doesn't sound very smart. He's not a wordsmith like Rodgers. There's a whole different feel to this because he is not Aaron Rodgers. He is not a guy that has a preponderance. He's not a guy that is going to end up doing the ayahuasca and going into the darkness retreat and quizzing other players on 9/11 and whether or not the moon landing was real. He's not doing all of that. He's just trying to find his way right now. So, and I remember what it was like. Aaron Rodgers always was incredibly intelligent. Always was. It's not a lack of intelligence. It's just he's just not as well spoken as Rodgers. But then again, few are. You're used to a certain bar, a certain level, and in every aspect of the quarterback position, you have to kind of lower your expectation a little bit. And right now, until Jordan Love gets comfortable in his own skin, you just have to accept him as just kind of being an average guy until he figures it out. So, and he will, he will, unless of course things go horrifically bad, and then you're going to hear the awkwardness and such. But I'm not. There's a lot of things that I've criticized Jordan Love for, and there's a lot of things that have made me raise an eyebrow and made me skeptical. I admit that. Okay, him speaking to the media and whether or not he's intelligible or well spoken, that doesn't matter to me right now. All that matters to me is how he plays on the field. That's it. Nothing more. And I think it's unfair right now to judge. And he is under a media microscope. And God knows we're the biggest contributors to that. The media is, I am, Grant is, Mike is, we all are. Okay, we all understand that. But the bottom line is that you can't overly judge him just because he doesn't speak as well as Aaron Rodgers, So I'm not worried about that yet. Let's just wait until he starts playing, and then we'll figure things out, Then we'll figure things out. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you're watching on the live stream, right across the way there, that is the Hudson Center and Ray Nitschke Field with the giant waveable, blue, inflatable, wavy man dude flying around over there. Packers fans walking by, everybody getting ready to go over and watch the practice that begins in about 15 minutes as the Packers are going to take the practice field yet again. Practice number 2 for this training camp. We are glad to be here today. We got a lot more coming up all throughout the day. Mike Clemens, bottom of the hour. We're going to talk with Zach Heilprin at some point down at Big Ten Media Day. We got a lot to get to. Stay tuned. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Potawatomi Hotel Casino. And thanks to them for being a part of the motorcycle ride coming up on Sunday, September 3rd. We need you. We need you big time. Come on out and join us. If you ride a motorcycle or know somebody who does, we need you big time. Come on out and join us for the motorcycle ride benefiting Fisher House, Wisconsin, for military members, veterans, and their families. But we can't do it without our friends at Potawatomi Hotel Casino, big supporters, and the dealers, the voluntary dealers that are going to be at the end of the motorcycle ride this year. We say thanks to them. And if you're looking for a good weekend, good night out, fun time, whether it's going to the 360 bar just to have a drink, going to the Dream Dance to have a steak, maybe some of the other cuisine that they have there, maybe stopping by the sports book, whatever it may be, or even a hotel stay. Potawatomi Hotel Casino, Milwaukee. Go to paysbig.com. That is paysbig.com.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket, this is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Welcome to Pella.
Hi, it's come to my attention. I need new windows.
You do?
Hey, sweetie, what's this?
My art project?
Honey, it's rotten. We need to toss it.
Then why do we have to keep our rotten windows, Dad?
Well, you came to the right place. Pella has a limited lifetime warranty on our wood windows, so this doesn't happen again.
Thank you.
Visit PellaWI.com today.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the program. Good to have you. Bill Michaels Show. We are broadcasting live. We are in Green Bay. We are just outside the Ray Nitschke Field and the Hudson Center, and just across the street, as a matter of fact, over by D2 in the Best Western parking lot. And got some practice getting ready to get underway across the street to Lambeau Field over there in the background for those that are watching on the live stream. So thanks to everybody for paying attention there. And there you go. There's the stream back. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends over there at Steel Tank Brewing. And our friends at Steel Tank, not only are they big supporters of the program, they're also going to be the end stop for the motorcycle ride coming up this year on Sunday, September 3rd. So get in there and say hi to Dave and the gang at Steel Tank Brewing, and their food is absolutely amazing. And they have that music venue that's coming along, and they hope to open that as well in September. This is from Will, who says, so Rodgers takes a $15 million pay cut. This is why I'm glad he's gone. He has done everything here to help himself and then goes to New York to help them in every way. Smell you later, dude. You knew he would. Well, it's not that he's taken pay cuts. It's that he's taken restructures that has given money back. to the salary cap. So he's done that. He did that in Green Bay. The only thing in Green Bay that I could not understand was last year when he wanted to renegotiate the contract and said he wanted to do everything to make the team viable, and then basically took all the money. He said, he said it wasn't $150 million over 3 years. That's an outright lie. That's not it. And it was. It every bit of it was. And I think towards the end, it may not have been on the Packers side of things, but I think in Aaron's mind, and again, I don't want to really speak for him, but just the actions that have been perpetrated, it speak very, very loud. And I just think that he had it with the organization. I think that relationship was irreparable. And I think he was just out for himself. And yes, he wanted to win. Yes, he wanted to play well. Yes, he wanted his guys and such. But I think last year was just I know I'm leaving. I'm taking everything I can take on my way out the door type of year. I don't know. I don't know how else to describe it. Otherwise, some of the backhanded comments that took place throughout the season, and the same thing after the season ended, and the way things went down. I think the relationship in Aaron's mind was done. And so it's kind of like, how do you put it? If you're leaving a job and you're leaving a job, either you're retiring or you got another job and you're pissed off at your employer and you're just like, this sucks. I'm out. I don't want to be here anymore, but I've got to work my, final few months or something to that extent. You know what I mean? Or your final 2 weeks. You give them 2 weeks notice. You got to be there for 2 weeks, but you don't really want to be there, And on your way out the door, you're grabbing a stapler or you're taking a pack of notepads, whatever, that's kind of what it was. That's it. The more distance we get between then and now, you kind of see it that way, don't you? It was time. And I have to admit, I really wanted to see Rodgers come back and run it back one more time. I really did. I thought that this Packers team could win. I thought you've got a lot of veterans can you imagine if you still had a few of the veterans, Rodgers, this young, talented group of tight ends with maybe one of his guys, and you could have, with a talented group of defensive players, you could run it all back. You could get the job done. So I kind of felt that might be that I was kind of hoping for that to happen. And it didn't. But now the more your distance from it, you kind of get the sense you understand that it was time. It was just time. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Let's do this. We're going to step out real quick. We're going to be joined here in the RV with Mike Clemens, who is swinging in. So Mike's going to come by. We're going to talk to him a little bit about what's going on at camp and his thoughts after the opener yesterday. Stay tuned. We are broadcasting live. We are in Green Bay, and we are going to be talking Packers and training camp and kids on bikes and Jordan Love and anything else of interest. That's all coming up. Stay tuned. We got a whole lot more coming up next.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network. Looking for a hot ride this summer? Find yours this July at Potawatomi. You could win your share of $400,000 in cash and prizes, or rumble all summer long in one of 4 brand new Harley-Davidson motorcycles. It's the Hot Ride Motorcycle Giveaway this July, only at Potawatomi Casino Hotel, Milwaukee. Visit paysbig.com/hot ride for more details. Must be 21 and a club member to play.
Phil Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Phil Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Phil Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Phil Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Phil Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Phil Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the program. The Bill Michaels Show continues on. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Burn Pit Barbecue. Go to burnpitbbq.com. That is burnpitbbq.com for the sauces, the rubs, the hot sauces. They got it all. They're veteran-owned and right here in the state of Wisconsin. Again, burnpitbbq.com. That is burnpitbbq.com. That is the look outside for those that are watching on the live stream. As the Hudson Center, Rainitzky Field right there in the background, a little bit off to your right, Lambeau Field, and that is just outside of the RV. Meanwhile, inside the big unit cruiser is our own Mike Clemens, and you can see him sitting there kind of, he's kind of like Adam Schefter. He's checking his phone. He's Adam Schefter checking the phone right now. So there you go.
I have to ask a broadcast question.
Yes.
Was that the 20 break or the 30 break? Was that the bottom of the hour break?
That was the 30 break.
We just have, okay, very good. All right, I'm all set then. Thank you. Okay. Okay.
We got through the technical issues right there on the program.
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
So how was yesterday in Jordan Love and coming out of the locker room and debuting and confidence and swagger and all that stuff?
It's the first day of practice. They're in helmets and shorts. Matt LaFleur said, predictably, there were some good things. There's a lot of things that we got to work on. We just talked to Matt. Here's a great storyline that Tom Silverstein from the Journal Sentinel is working on. And that's, I've said to you, the player I'm most excited to get some looks at is this number 11, Jaden Reed. Okay.
Yeah.
Who's going to line up in the slot.
Right.
And as Spoon, as we call him for Silver Spoon, pointed out, man, they're lining him up everywhere, right? He's in the slot. He's the X, he's the Y, he's the
right.
And he said, when you've got a guy, do you plan on using him everywhere, or are you just trying things out? And he goes, and LaFleur goes, yeah, we're trying it out, but I mean, you'd like him to move him around anywhere you want,
right?
And so he said, how many reps does he get? I mean, if he's got 5 or 6 different spots to line up, and you've got these timed practices under the CB, and he goes, yeah, like 3 maybe.
Right.
And and LaFleur said, that's an interesting point. He said, because you think, oh yeah, we must have run this play 15, 20 times during the OTAs, right?
Mm-hmm.
During the mini camp.
Right.
He said, you start going back over the cut-ups and you start looking at your log, 3. You only ran that play 3 times. And so then I said to Matt, so what's the number? Before you say, I'm putting this into the game plan for the Bears, 10,
right.
15. And he laughed and he said, this is the thing you deal with all the time. There's sometimes you may end up with a play, or, you might even call it that you've only repped it 5 or 6 times.
Yeah.
And that's why these guys have, got to be paying attention that, hey, look, we see this opening. And if we put you in this spot and run that route, it could go for 7.
That goes back to what he said when he was asked about some of the young guys and the knowledge and, who has advanced, who's done well, who hasn't. And that's when yesterday he said, before yesterday's practice, he said, we're about to find out who's been studying, who's been going over the tape and the cut-ups, and who's been understanding where they're supposed to be and when they're supposed to be, because you're only going to get so many reps at certain things. And that's some of the stuff that he was alluding to, that these guys are going to have to, some of these guys are going to be used in multiple situations, and they're going to have to pay attention to where they're supposed to be and learn it quickly, because they need to grow up quickly.
So I got up here early and I got some interviews with people within the organization and some on tape that, can I play in like sort of my regular spot on Fridays tomorrow? After 1:15 or so.
Yeah.
And you're going to be at Road America tomorrow.
We'll be at Road America tomorrow,
yeah,
but
this will be great.
Ton of
racing
drivers, but we're keeping everything open just in case, you got anything breaking, and then obviously the last hour basically for you.
Okay. Well, hey, Grant, so I sent some cuts that we had with Jordan Love. So I want to tell a quick story. Mark Murphy, Packers CEO and president, is in front of nearly 8,000 people at the shareholders meeting. Now, people who come to shareholders meetings tend to be the most loyal fans. They've driven 3 hours to watch a PowerPoint on finances.
Right.
And sit in a hot sun.
And that's exactly, there is no shade when you're up here in 90-degree heat and sweltering and your sun is beating down on you, no doubt.
So they're pretty much, they didn't come there to boo Mark Murphy for getting rid of Aaron Rodgers or anything like that. Maybe they did in 2008. I'm trying to remember. But we're in this transition. And Rob Reichel, who's a regular on the show, great reporter, has got a great column today in Forbes Sports. Check that out. He covers the Packers there, where he said, don't forget, man, here we were in 2008, and Aaron Rodgers was being booed after the trade August 6th to send Favre to the Jets. He was booed at family night. He would come to his home, and someone had written, nasty things in chalk on his driveway, all kinds of. There's a great reflection on that today. But love, everybody's here to love him, right? I mean, we have moved on, and so on Monday, Gutekunst goes up there. He does his entire discussion, and I can't play tape from that because it's a shareholders meeting, a long discussion. But he didn't mention anything about we've moved on from Aaron Rodgers. He just talked about who's on the roster right now, what they did in the draft. Then Mark Murphy comes up and he says, all right, before we go any further, I just want to say a few words about Aaron Rodgers. There's a couple of people that applaud.
Yeah.
As some folks have tweeted to me, you could hear a pin drop. But there's about a dozen or so clowns, guys right behind me, and Dennis Krause, and Tom Silverstein, and Rob Demoski, that went, boo.
Right.
Just like that.
Right.
And Murphy put up his hand. He went, no. Listen, he was a great player for us for 18 years, and he had a remarkable career. And someday, not only will be in the Hall of Fame, but we're going to retire his jersey here, in Green Bay. And then there was a nice, everybody let the air out, and there was a nice, moderate, polite, classy applause. I tweeted that out as it happened. Took a picture of Mark and tweeted out, hey, some mild boos when he mentioned Aaron Rodgers for the first time. This thing has 500,000 views. I mean, people are just going nuts over it.
Right.
First, I got about 20 people say, well, I didn't hear it. Well, no, it's because you were 40 rows up.
Right.
These people are down in front. I'm telling you, it happened because Murphy reacted to it. And Murphy was I'm going to cut that off. We're not going to boo Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
We need Aaron Rodgers. Okay. Bart's no longer with us. We don't see bringing back Brett anytime soon. I need to bring this guy back on Alumni Day.
Right. Right.
We need to keep this guy a forever Packer after his little run with the Jets.
Yeah.
So yesterday I talked to Jordan Love, and I said, I wanted to get into this a little bit. And I said, first of all, so it's your 4th year, and now you're starting as the starter. This must be a better deal for you, right?
Oh, yeah, 100%. First year, you're running out there, your eyes kind of big, see everybody out there for the first time in practice. So I know my routine. I know what I got to kind of lock in and focus on.
The word from the team has been patience. It's a new quarterback, like Mark Murphy in front of 8,000 shareholders. Or how do you react when you hear those words?
I mean, it's just how it is, Patience is not going to be perfect right away. This is a process. It's growing pains that, you got to work through. Just like today is day one. It's not going to be perfect. It's something that we got to build every day.
The big thing for Jordan Love right now is he hasn't taken a snap as the starter, but he's got a lot of support. Aaron Jones has been outspoken. Other guys have been outspoken. And you've told me, we've talked about this both on the mic and off the mic, that there's guys in that locker room that are like,
they've been waiting for this day.
They've been waiting for it. We got his back. It's not that they didn't give an effort with Rodgers, but they're going to do everything they can to make sure that Jordan Love succeeds.
This is their dog.
Yeah.
Okay. They're 2 or 3 year players. They're not 10-year players that are being brought back from the Houston Texans to run my receivers room.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But, Aaron Rodgers is trending again today. Why? Because he's giving back $35 million to the Jets.
Right.
And, and Hard Knocks hasn't even started. I mean, he's figuring out a way to be, the top story day after day after day. And that might be cause effect because he makes that announcement yesterday. He has a second press conference, and they've only been in training camp there, 4 or 5 days, right? 24 hours later, guess who's on a plane to New York today? Delvin Cook, Vikings running back. Because Breece Hall, remember how good he looked against the Packers here at Lambeau when the Jets beat him?
Right.
He's coming back from an ACL from October. So Aaron Rodgers gives him back $35 million because why? The next day, let's bring in Delvin Cook to get things started.
He kind of felt that was going to happen.
The best thing that this organization can do then to keep that from being a distraction is to get behind Jordan Love. But they're tentative right now. Well, we got to be patient. Well, he's a first-year guy. No one's just saying this is our guy.
Right.
But I said to Jordan, you've got the respect of these guys, Aaron Jones on down. How much does that help you at practice?
No, it makes a huge difference. You as a player, you want everybody to respect you. You want the support of the team. That's pretty much what it's been. Everybody's been great, very supportive. Like I said, it comes down to those relationships we have with each other. But no, it's been great, man. It's something that, even if I didn't have the support of the team, I'm still going to go out there and do my best every day because, being the leader of the team, that's what you got to do. It's never going to be easy, never going to be in your favor sometimes, but you just got to go out there every day, put your head down, and no matter what the, good, bad, indifferent, you just got to go out there and work every day.
Really, the big news yesterday was when Rodgers texted Love.
Well, he told us that because we asked Jordan, in those 3 years, we know that Rodgers treated Love better than, what
Favre treated Rodgers.
Yeah. Favre's like, I'm not here to teach guys, just watch me. Right.
Right.
Jordan yesterday was asked, did you and Aaron talk about what happened here that summer of 2008 when he had to step in and replace Favre?
Yeah, those are things we've talked about. When the time we were both here together, he kind of talked about how it was for him, and obviously Brett leaving and things like that, his transition. Obviously, he said it was hard as well. It's never easy, but he kind of just put his head down and worked, made his own name for himself. That's kind of the same thing I'm trying to do right now for myself.
So then we asked Jordan Love, do you still hear from Rodgers? And he said, yeah, as a matter of fact, last night.
Yeah, no, Aaron reached out to me last night, and that's exactly what he said. Yeah, he said, just be yourself, have fun, enjoy it. It's obviously my time now, and he just said, be yourself. And that's all you can do. That's kind of been the message from everybody is, be yourself. Don't try and be anybody else. Don't try to be Aaron, things like that. Just be yourself, and that's kind of what I'm trying to do.
I saw yesterday, I think it was Dario Melendez. I was kind of, quoting some of his tweets when he was talking about Jordan Love.
Channel 12 down in Milwaukee.
Yeah, and he had posted a lot of critique of Jordan Love. Looks good, strong in the pocket, command of the huddle, looks confident, all that kind of stuff. And then it got to throwing with the wind yesterday. And one of the things that I've always talked about with Rodgers and Favre was they had big arms, tight spirals, and the wind, it affected them, but not very much. It was almost negligible.
Aaron Rodgers will tell you about, he's got 4 different passes. Like your approach shot to the green.
Right.
He's got 4 different trajectories. He thinks about throwing through the wind. Mm-hmm. We've had those discussions with him. So yeah, Jordan's back there, and he there's a couple times that they would send like Watson deep, or some of the other receivers deep, and he was just way off. So he was asked, how much of that was that like 25, 30 mile an hour gusting wind?
Yeah, no, I think just day one, that was one thing I was like, man, we got to lock in on that one. But deep ball day one, that's something that, you got to have those reps at. And it takes time. Like I said, it's not going to be perfect on the deep ball. But after today, looking back on it, that's one thing that I felt like those are the couple of throws that I missed. They're just maybe a little bit short that, weren't right over the shoulder like you might want. But obviously, the wind accounts for that. You can never make excuses for that. You just got to be able to play through it.
The day one, it's day one of training camp, and you want to glom on to so many different things. But what stood out?
The drop by Christian Watson in the right flats. Come on, man.
Yeah.
And tomorrow I'll go more into details how these guys got together, 8 or 9 of them, to be with Jordan Love and work out, which is great. Fans love to see that kind of stuff. I think, coaches do too, because they're so limited in the time they can be with these guys. But they're trying to get some momentum going. You're moving down the field, right? And then you've got great timing. You got a great play fake in the backfield. You got Jordan Love with good footing. He's got time. He looks, he turns to his right. He puts a ball right out there, just floats it out there into the right flat. And Christian Watson goes down, cuts right, goes out. He's at the sidelines. The hands are out, and boom, it bounces off his fingers. Like, whoa, what are you?
Right.
It's a drive killer.
Right.
And he shouldn't be. There should be more than that. So then he goes back to Dobbs over the middle, and he catches things with 3 guys on him. And, Dobbs is going to need Watson to catch those balls. We all know that once you get the ball into Watson's hands, look out.
Right.
Nobody can stop him. So, yeah, what were some of the positives? And we asked Jordan Love that.
Yeah, no, we had a couple strikes. I had one to Rome that he made a great catch, but and we had a through route, which is always nice, right over the middle to Samari. But yeah, I mean, there's a couple of throws here and there that you always wish you can get back at the end of the day, but at the end of the day, there's not like one specific throw I like more than the other. I like completions, and whenever you can get that, it's always fun. But yeah, just looking back on it, like I said, those deep balls are just one thing that I wish we could have had a little bit better connection, but something that we're going to build and grow over time.
Let's do this. We'll step out. We're talking with Mike Clemens. We are here inside the big unit cruiser, and we are at Packers training camp just across the street from Ray Nitschke Field in the Hudson Center, and right out in front of our friends from D2, the sports bar connected to the Best Western. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at J&L Tire and Service Center, jnltire.com. Go to jnltire.com in Watertown and in Johnson Creek, whether it's the minivan that needs an oil change or your big rig that needs some brakes and tires. Whatever it happens to be, they can handle it all. They have the facilities for all. They can help you out, and they're very philanthropic in the community as well. Stop in, tell Lyle, Chad, everybody at J&L Tire and Service Center, we said hi. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Welcome to Paula.
Hi, it's come to my attention. I need new windows.
You do?
Hey, sweetie, what's this?
My art project?
Honey, it's rotten. We need to toss it.
Then why do we have to keep our rotten windows, Dad?
Well, you came to the right place. Pell has a limited lifetime warranty on our wood windows, so this doesn't happen again.
Thank you.
Visit PellaWI.com today.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
We are back. We're inside the Cunis RV from Elkhorn, Wisconsin. Cunis RV all over the state of Wisconsin. Can't say thanks enough to them. We're inside the Big Unit Cruiser here in Green Bay. Packers practice getting ready to get underway just across the street. Packers inside the Hudson Center warming up, and then they'll be outside here shortly. And they will be practicing again in front of the fans. Mike Clements joining us here inside the RV. So, day two, obviously they want to make corrections from day one. They want to look for the mistakes that were yesterday that aren't the same today. But if you're going to circle a few things and say, this is what I want to pay attention to, what are they?
Well, right now what they're doing is, they'll be in helmets and shorts again today and then tomorrow. And I think they put on the pads maybe this Saturday or one more practice after that. So right now it's just getting the bodies warmed up and used to the routine of the day. LaFleur's being very tentative about everything. I know a lot of fans like saying, hey, I go to the team website and it doesn't say like later in the month. It says they got to practice that day, but it doesn't say what time.
Right.
And we don't have any inside information. He just put out a schedule today, like, okay, practice next week will be at 10:30 for the days that we're doing it.
Right.
So he's got a completely new team with so many young guys. And so he's trying to see what works out best. Plus he's doing it all in a brand new building. Right.
Yeah, right.
And I want to take you over there and show you some of that later on. But, so, today, just trying to repeat from yesterday, they're installing the game plan too, or the playbook. So today's day two of the install. There are probably about 8 or 9 installs before they get through all the different kinds of formations on offense and defense that they like to work. Here's how young the receivers are on this Packers team. After Devontae Adams left a year ago, and now Lazard goes over to the Jets, and they released Sammy Watkins in December or so, right?
Yeah.
I was looking at the roster, I think headed into the draft or so, and the oldest guy on the team for the wide receiver group was Jeff Cotton, age 26 years old. He's been on 2 or 3 different teams, including I think the Cardinals. What was it? The Jags, the Chargers, and the Cardinals, and he was on the practice squad. So I thought, oh, maybe they got something here, right?
Right.
Like the next Alan Lazard, right? They cut him yesterday. he showed up with a non-football injury related thing. Yeah, maybe got hurt in the offseason warming up. They cut him yesterday. So you know who the oldest receiver that Jordan Love's got to throw to? Samori Toure, second-year man drafted last year, at 25 years old. That's how young these guys are.
Yeah, when you talk about Christian Watson, the infamous drop last year in Minnesota, like you said yesterday, very easy out. In a drive killer, he has a drop. He came into the league with the tradition of drops
on the scouting reports.
I know it's something. It's just a matter of concentration, is all it is. But is this something that? How much does this hurt the relationship between him and Jordan Love?
It does. It does. Oh, it's already there.
Yeah.
Dobbs is the guy that Rodgers would prefer to throw to in that situation.
Right.
They figured out ways on how to get the ball over the middle on little short routes, high percentage routes to Christian Watson. Remember that touchdown he scored in front of us at Soldier Field, right?
Yeah.
And you just get the guy past the linebackers, get the ball in his hands, and he's gone.
Right.
He'll just blow past the safeties and corners and the refs and the fans and everybody. He's just gone.
Yeah.
And that's the trick that they've got to figure out. But maybe the answer is Jaden Reed, right?
Yeah, but Jaden Reed doesn't have the same speed as Christian Watson.
No, but I'm just saying this is why I keep saying we got to see what 11 can do, man.
Yeah, I agree. I think for this machine to go, Christian Watson has to be a contributor.
Yeah,
has to. And somebody's got to get in his rear end and. James Jones was the guy. Remember, James Jones would have a few drops that were so highlighted.
James Jones, I don't remember if he's a 3rd round pick or 4th round pick, but in the summer of 2007, which turned out to be Brett's last year, and Brett was putting everything he could. Now, that was their second year with McCarthy, and he felt really good. He said, you know what, this might be the youngest team I've been on, but it's some of the best players, some of the best athletes. His father, Deanna's father, died, And so he had to go down to Hattiesburg for a funeral.
Yeah.
He got back late Sunday night and everything was closed. Everybody was, back at St. Norbert's back then. But he went in the facility and turned on the tape. And someone said, hey, we heard you were here late last night watching tape till 1 o'clock in the morning. What were you looking? He says, I was looking at this James Jones kid. I mean, he was catching everything they threw at him.
Yeah.
And he started looking at him. And that became another one of his weapons as a rookie that he threw to over the middle. James Jones always could catch the ball.
Because James had a little segment in his career where he began to drop some. Remember, he had that
Sure.
drop in Philadelphia.
So did Devontae.
And so I remember James ended up calling like some of his former coaches. And one, I was either his high school coach or his college coach said, we've talked about this. You're running without the ball. He said, you got to watch it into your hands, and then go. You got enough speed and then go. And I'll never forget that conversation I had with him. And I think you were there as well, where he just said it was just watching it. Once you got it, then you run. And you hope that Christian Watson, somebody he trusts, tells him, watch the ball into your hands. And once you got it, then you run. So Mike Clemens going to head over to practice. So we are live. We are in Green Bay. Stay tuned. We got a whole lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, that's another series win, and the Milwaukee Brewers continued their dominance of the Cincinnati Reds in 2023 with a 3-0 victory to close out the season series. Freddie Peralta, Brewers starting pitcher, tied his career high with 13 strikeouts. He didn't walk a batter, also gave up just 4 hits. Devin Williams would come in the ninth and get his 26th save, and offensively, Tyrone Taylor came through with the 2-run shot, while Andrew Monasterio added another run with a double in the 8th inning. The Crew now has today off. They head to Atlanta to open another pivotal series against the Braves starting on Friday. To the NFL, yesterday was day 1 of Packers training camp, and the night before, Jordan Love said he received some advice from his 4-time MVP predecessor, Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, no, Aaron reached out to me last night, and that's exactly what he said. Yeah, he said, just be yourself, have fun, enjoy it. It's obviously my time now, and he just said, be yourself. And I mean, that's all you can do, That's kind of been the message from everybody is, be yourself. Don't try and be anybody else. Don't try to be Aaron, things like that. Just be yourself, and that's kind of what I'm trying to do.
Day 2 of training camp continues on today.
LIUNA stands for the Laborers International Union of North America, a skilled and experienced union with the skills and safety training to be your workforce solution for the Wisconsin construction industry. LIUNA Wisconsin members build infrastructure like roads, bridges, and skyscrapers, as well as solar and wind farms and even pipelines. LIUNA has a long and storied history as they celebrate 120 years as a union. Feel the power of a career as a member of LIUNA. Learn more at liunawisconsin.org.
A primetime game is coming to Camp Randall in November. According to the Action Network's Brett McMurphy, the Badgers will host Nebraska on November 18th on NBC, with kick coming at 6:30. The others on NBC, October 14th against Iowa at 2:30 and against Ohio State, October 28th at 6:30. And finally, today is the Badgers Day at Lucas Oil Stadium for Big Ten Media Days. For the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network, I'm Ebo.
Hour number 2 of the Bill Michaels Show, and we are with you. Good to have you on board today. Thanks so much. We are broadcasting live. We are in Green Bay. Just across the street from Rainitzky Field, the practice field in which the Green Bay Packers are on at the moment. Mike Clemens now heading over there. I'm going to get into some of this comments over on the live stream coming up here in just a moment. But I do got to say that Mike is brought to you by and has been for a long time now, our friends over at the Bay Motel Green Bay. Bay Motel Green Bay, quiet, cozy, comfortable, just a mile from Lambeau Field, and it's perfect for a family stay as that place is packed. Drove past there this morning. And the Bay Family Restaurant featuring homestyle cooking 7 days a week. That is the BayMotelGreenBay.com, BayMotelGreenBay.com. And you can call them today for a reservation, 920-494-3441, 920-494-3441. We are right here in front of D2, the sports bar that's connected to the Best Western here on Armed Forces Way. Just like I said, just across the street from the Hudson Center and Ray Nitschke Field, and and Rob and the staff at D2 have been so incredibly gracious to us. So, and reserving the spaces and such, and we certainly appreciate it. And that's where the RV, the cruiser, is parked, and we're going to be here throughout the rest of the show today. So good stuff, and thanks to everybody with D2, the sports bar. Thanks to everybody that swung by and said hello during the commercial break, and where people were waiting outside to say hi to Mike Clemens. So good stuff today. And for those that are on the live stream as well and kind of watching to see what's happening, we go outside now. You're looking live at the Hudson Center and Ray Nitschke Field, and then there is the above cam, if you will, with Lambeau Field in the background. So it is a buzz today. If you look off into the distance, it's a buzz as the Packers and the players and such have made their way into Ray Nitschke Field. I want to go back to something that was said. And I'm watching the live stream, and I know there's people that are on this live stream that, have opinions and strong opinions. I get it. This comment in the comments about this toxicity within the Packers and how Mark Murphy and Brian Gutekunst have ruined the Green Bay Packers and guys, it's a toxic environment. It's a toxic locker room. You couldn't be more wrong. I don't know what you think you know. You got to be looking at it from maybe just an outside opinion, but you couldn't be more wrong. So during the break, and I wish we had more time, unfortunately, I just didn't. Mike had to get going and go to practice. But as him and I were sitting here talking, Mike and I are sitting here talking. I asked him, I said, look, you're in the locker room far more often than I am. And now I talk to people like after the fact, and we both have our same contacts and our separate contacts, and we kind of compare notes. And Mike, when I brought that up, Mike looked at me and said, are you kidding me? That somebody's actually saying it's a toxic environment. He said, Bill, 8 guys flew out to be with Jordan Love and to zoom in Matt LaFleur so they could talk about the offense and they could begin to absorb everything it is that they're supposed to absorb. If they had questions about anything that they went through via the OTAs or the minicamp, they were checking in with coaches and going back to the Surface Pros, and they were going over it. But 8 guys flew out and sat down with Jordan Love for weeks, a couple of weeks, just to make sure that they're already on the same page. They couldn't wait for camp to get going, to get back at it, to be in Green Bay. And oh, by the way, Aaron Jones paid for it all, for everybody. The defensive guys have been here working together. Stokes has been a gym rat. Jair has been a gym rat. They've all been here far beyond what is required of them. They've been staying here. They've wanted to be around the environment and the complex, and to watch the final touches being put on the new building and where they're going to be, and the coaches' offices. And some of these guys, Mike was saying, they were helping some of the guys move to the new offices. And he said, you couldn't be more wrong. Wherever you think you're getting your information, you couldn't be more wrong. There's a camaraderie that's already built among many of these guys. There's always going to be somebody that isn't happy, that just feels like they're being slighted, they're not being used right, whatever. They're 53-man roster and larger right now. So there's always going to be somebody that isn't happy. But the overall impression that you have some inside information that it's a toxic environment and coaches and players and blah, 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 you couldn't be more wrong. And it's young. It's a young team. A lot of the veterans, short of a guy like Bakhtiari, a lot of the veterans enjoy. Devondre Campbell was one of them, very outspoken, loves it here. Kenny Clark, very outspoken, loves it here. Elton Jenkins, very outspoken, loves it here. Bakhtiari, he's a Rodgers guy. He knows what's coming up. He knows the business side of it. He understands that. What was toxic was Aaron Rodgers. Lambeau Field could no longer hold the ego that was Rodgers. And it's guys, it's me saying this. The one that has been the biggest Rodgers supporter through all of this. But I can see what was being done. And I can see the division. Go back to the division that there was when Mike McCarthy was here towards the end of his reign. And everybody kind of very quietly sided with Rodgers because they knew, one, he was going to be here. Two, he's a Hall of Fame quarterback. He has a ring, and he carried a lot of cachet. And maybe Mike did get a little lackadaisical in the end, so maybe there wasn't as much respect for him anymore. But you could clearly see who was pounding the wedge between the left and the right, between the coaches or the coach versus the players. You knew where that voice was. And now with Rodgers being gone and, the backhanded slaps that he throws, but yet it's the Packers' fault. So if you've got some inside information, bring it. But as I sit here and talk to Mike and about things that are going on inside that locker room and guys that I've talked to, I have no idea where that's coming from. No idea where that's coming from. Because this is a group of guys. They have skepticism about whether or not Jordan Love's the guy. I don't know. As Mike said, nobody's saying, that's our guy. He's a man. He's going to win us a ton of ball games. Nobody's come out and saying that yet. Nobody has promoted Jordan Love to be this winning quarterback in the National Football League. Time will tell that. But I'll tell you what, there's 8, 10, 15 guys specifically on the offensive side of the football that say, we got his back. They weren't saying that with Rodgers. Rodgers had respect because of what he had done. Jordan Love has their respect because he's one of the guys. He's one of them. (877-867-1670), 877-867-1670. So if you got something, bring it. If you got something tangible, bring it. Otherwise, for those of you that are paying attention to some of the morons over on the live stream, let them spout and kind of go on from there, because they have absolutely zero knowledge, and they're doing more to stir the pot and incite than it is to actually spew fact. So there you go. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to give us a shout, please feel free to go ahead and do so. Jordan sends us an email in the email inbox and says, I like what guys have said about Jordan Love. Yes, they are a little bit skeptical, but at least they sound like they are supporting their guy. Not many guys were speaking out in favor of Aaron Rodgers like that. They did not dare speak out against Aaron Rodgers or for Jordan Love. They just said, he's our quarterback. That's a good point, Jordan. That's a good point. If you notice, there were guys that did not go public, and Mike even alluded to this last year, when there were guys in that locker room that said, oh, yeah, Jordan, because Rodgers was not taking all the reps as the starter in practice because of the thumb, and then the year before that, it was the COVID toe and all that kind of stuff. Or a couple of years ago, it was the COVID toe. Anyway, and so Jordan Love, being a younger guy with the younger guys, there was a lot of guys that said, oh, no, when Jordan gets his opportunity, we got his back. But they didn't dare say it in public. Why do you think that is? It's because they didn't want to deal with getting in the, quote, doghouse of Aaron Rodgers in some way, shape, or form. Go back to Amari Rodgers. Oh, he's just a punt returner, right? That was Aaron Rodgers' comment about Amari Rodgers. And you knew it was over after that. Now, granted, Amari Rodgers is a third-round draft choice, couldn't field a punt to save his life. But when Rodgers gave him the death knell comment, that was the end of him. And it wasn't a couple of weeks later, all of a sudden he was gone. He was out of here. So it's just a different atmosphere. And to say it's toxic, nah, Not toxic at all. Matter of fact, it's probably the opposite. It seems like it's more so the opposite, at least from the more up close recognition. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to hit us up, please feel free. Ryan writes in the email inbox also, he says, I like the attitude that guys have regarding Jordan Love. Yes, he's your guy, but no, he's not a Hall of Famer. He's going to need to work as hard as the rest of you do to make this team successful. I'm sure that guys don't know if he's going to be or will not be or will be a winner just yet, but I believe that this team is going to come together and gel with a couple of wins and a couple of losses. They will figure it out. You wonder, you look at the beginning of the season, and first game you go to Chicago, huge game. And I know, in the standings, it's not huge. Not a huge game in that sense, but a huge game in the sense that Aaron Rodgers and the I own you to the Bears fans and to the organization, you got to keep that up. There's a lot of weight upon Jordan Love's shoulders to keep that up, to continue to own the Bears, right? So that's a big game. Because if you go in, Jordan Love, if you go in and you lose to the Bears, it's an opening loss. It doesn't kill you, but it's a loss to the Bears, and it's a loss to the Bears, a team that you had not traditionally lost to on the regular for a long time. And go back to the belt. I own you. I mean, that's very loud. And if you give the Bears fans hope that you don't own them anymore and you don't own that franchise anymore, to Packers fans, that's a mental letdown. It's only one loss, but it's a mental letdown. It's like, okay, we don't own the Bears anymore. Crap. And then so big game one. If you win it, awesome. Game two becomes less relevant. Still relevant in the standings, still relevant in the win-loss column, but less relevant and less pressurized. If you lose game one, game two in Atlanta becomes vital. Because now people, depending on how you lose, you're raising that eyebrow. Boy, the big question mark in the offseason was when Brian Gutekunst said numerous times, yeah, he's ready to start at quarterback, but we don't know if he can win yet. Well, you haven't won yet. Lost to Kansas City, didn't come back and win against Detroit, didn't come back and win against Philadelphia, didn't beat the Bears, So now that starts to weigh heavy on you. So that's why game two then becomes more pressurized. God forbid you lose game two on the road and have to then come back and win your first game as a starter the first time you're brought out into Lambeau Field as the starter. And then the pressure only mounts from there. So there's some opportunities. There's some teams that you could, would, should beat. But it can be a drastically different start to the season, depending on what happens in week one. Does that make sense? 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Think about that for a minute. Let's do this. We're going to step out, take a quick break, come back. We got a lot to get to. Hey, our buddy Dwayne, D-U-A-N-E-S, Dwayne'sCoverItAll.com, bringing this portion of the program, whether it's boat covers, travel covers for your boat, if you want to do upholstery, if you want to do bimini tops, whatever it happens to be. How about awnings out in front of your business? How about for your patio? What about gym equipment, office furniture, so much more? He can do it all. Dwayne'sCoverItAll.com, D-U-A-N-E-S, Dwayne'sCoverItAll.com. Call him 715-870-2119, 715-870-2119. Give him a shout. It is worth it. He's a great guy up in Wausau, and we can't say thanks enough for him and his support of the program. Stay tuned. We got more of the Bill Michaels Show. We are live. We're in Green Bay, right across the street from the Packers practice facility. Packers on the field. Practice number 2 for this particular training camp taking place right now.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Welcome to Pella.
Hi, it's come to my attention. I need new windows.
You do?
Hey, sweetie, what's this?
My art project?
Honey, it's rotten. We need to toss it.
Then why do we have to keep our rotten windows, Dad?
Well, you came to the right place. Pell has a limited lifetime warranty on our wood windows, so this doesn't happen again.
Thank you.
Visit PellaWI.com today.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
A lot of fun outside right now, and for those that are watching on the live stream, you kind of get a little bit of a sense of it. Right across the street, fans milling about, and the Packers practicing right now. A few clouds in the air, but that's about the extent of it. A hot, hazy, humid day here in Green Bay, and the Packers on the Ray Nitschke Field right now. Practice number 2 of this training camp for the Green Bay Packers. So. Good stuff there. As a matter of fact, I was watching just outside a few minutes ago. Now that the look you see now is the look from atop our cam. We got a cam actually placed pretty high, which was kind of cool. And that's the look right there alongside the big unit cruiser. But the amount of kids that had Packers taking their bikes today was really cool. Really a neat deal. So. And it's always, I mean, tradition's always cool. Okay. When you get a chance to be a part of it, and you see pictures of it and stuff, but when you get a chance to see it up close and personal and see some of these guys riding across the street, it's really cool. It really, really is. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, go ahead and do so. This is from Jackie. Jackie says, in regards to a toxic environment, how the hell do these people know? They're trolling us at best. Unless they have some kind of inside information that they would never reveal anyway, how can they say from the outside looking in that it is toxic? All the toxicity has left and has gone to New York. I don't hear anything negative coming out of Green Bay. I hear a lot of negative things coming out of New York, which is a good point. When you say that there's something that could possibly be toxic in Green Bay, what are you hearing that would give you that thought? I would love to know. It's a great point. It's a really good point. 877-867-1670. What would give you that belief? What would give you that belief? Jack says, it is a fresh start. This is all new. Yes, we have some nervous anxiety, but we're all looking forward to the season, and we're all looking to see if Jordan Love can hold his own. He doesn't have to be great, just be a winning quarterback in Green Bay. If his numbers are good enough to be in a Hall of Fame, wonderful. If they're not, that's okay, as long as he's putting up the W's. Right? I can 100%. 100%. Tom says you're right. Game 1's going to set the tone for the rest of the year. What else do we have here? You've got a lot of different stuff being said over in the chat, and I love it. This one's from Mark, who says, the new Cruiser looks nice. Thank you very much. The Cruiser is comfortable. It is nice. It's roomy. And the nice thing is it's got front and rear air here in Green Bay, where it's pretty hot outside. So yeah, no, it looks really, really good. Absolutely. This is from Jake. Jake says, "Hey guys, I think that the Packers organization is not toxic. I think what's going on is there's some fans that are upset with Gutekunst or upset with Mark Murphy for whatever reason, and they just make these things up. And you know what? That's part of it. You know, when all you can bring up is the sledding hill, there's no real fact there. You know, there just isn't. If that's all you have to go on. And as far as, making decisions behind the scene, the way I understand it, is, Mark Murphy basically gives Brian Gutekunst autonomy. They talk about stuff, but it's not like Mark Murphy is studying his own draft book and making decisions or talking to other owners to make trades or pick up players or trade away players. I mean, that's not it. Mark's got enough to do. He's trying to operate the business of football. He's not trying to make deals when it comes to player personnel stuff. He's trying to just keep the business side on the track, so to speak. Whereas Matt LaFleur, Brian Gutekunst, they're all working together. Absolutely. 100%. That's what they should be doing. Delvin says, what do you think about Christian Watson and what Mike was discussing yesterday about the drops? Is that going to be a problem? That's been a problem. When he came into the league, I mean, one of the things that Christian Watson was, I hate to say noted for, but one of the negatives, one of the things that, one of the boxes that weren't checked for him was the fact that he does put the ball on the carpet every now and then. And he can do it in the most. What's weird is Christian Watson, like many receivers, will go up and battle for a ball and can go get it, But when it's the wide open, oh my God, here it comes, and all I got to do is catch it and take off. There are receivers that'll do that. They'll think about taking off down the field because they're so wide open. They've done such a good job at running the route, or there was a broken coverage and they're wide open. And all you got to do is catch it and take off, So, and then they have that mental issue where you're trying to run before you catch the football. Like I said, James Jones, he kind of had it for a brief period of time. And one of the things with James Jones was he had other guys around him that were just as good, if not better. So James Jones was one of the lower guys in the totem pole when it came to coverage. So he was beating his guys like a drum too, which became a mental thing where you started to run without the football. I think it was his high school coach. I think it was his high school coach that he called and said, "Hey man, I'm just, I'm struggling." And it was a very simple, dude, you can't run without the football. You got to catch it first, watch it into your hands. It was one of the same things. I think it was high school, the same thing that they had talked to him about in high school because he was so good. So absolutely. Tom says, in my opinion, week 1 going to tell us an awful lot about LaFleur as a head coach with 12 gone. Week 1 through 6. What I want to see is there's a couple of things. You're right, but you're going to see scripted plays, the first 16, 15, 20, whatever. And then after you get out of that, because the first 15 or 20 are going to put you into a rhythm. What do you do after that? And that's one of the areas that the Packers had somewhat struggled with, even when Rodgers was here. Because they would come out and you'd see motion, you'd see movement, you'd see play action, you'd see some excitement, and you'd be like, wow, this, and they'd go down and score. Or they'd look really good before the drive stalled, what have you. But it was just like you could see a dynamicness to it. And then you got into the second quarter and it just went away. Third drive, fourth drive just kind of went away. And it went back to shotgun, empty backfield, all that kind of stuff. Stuff that we'd seen before. There was no dynamicness to it. There was no more motion, no more movement, nothing. So I'm looking to see if that was Matt LaFleur or if it was Rodgers or if it's now a new scheme and it's different and we still see it, but now we've got the quarterback maybe on the move using his athleticism and such. That's what I'm looking for. So yeah, I agree with you. I think it's not just week 1, but I think it's the scripted plays versus non-scripted plays. And then the other thing that I'm looking for is what happens when they face adversity. Because this team, over the last couple of years, specifically, they'd be rolling. They'd be moving the football and doing everything with precision. And then something would happen. And it would create adversity, and suddenly away they went. So let's do this. We're going to step away. We're going to take a quick break, come back. Got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. Stay tuned. We're coming back right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Quick Trip brings you quick, hot savings. We're making a splash this month with our Nature's Touch milk. Just $2.99 a gallon. All our 1 gallon, 2%, 1%, and skim Nature's Touch milk is on sale and ready to hit your fridge. Oh, how can you beat fresh, straight from our dairy milk that's ready for movie night milkshakes or to make those morning waffles extra fluffy? Hey, we got you covered with quick, hot savings only at Quick Trip.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Hearts of fire, streets of stone.
Welcome back. Good to have you, the Bill Michaels Show. Killing it today. Killing it. Speaking of killing it, our friends at Stenny's, Second and National, Walker's Point, that's where you should be, as they say, you should be here. And many of you over the last few days specifically have been catching the shuttle down to the Brewers and the Reds. Brewers now out on the road, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't go to Stenny's. Stop down and check out the award-winning Bloody Marys, the giant, massive wings, the Bill Michaels garlic cheese bread, and all the good food that they serve down there. Not to mention, it's a great place to go and catch the Brewers on a tube down there. So whether it's the Brewers or catching the shuttles to Green Bay for a Packers game when season gets going, out to the Badgers games, Bucks games, you name it, running shuttles to everything. That's our friends at Stenny's, Second and National in Walker's Point. The new one should be coming, hopefully, sometime this year. Going to be in Pewaukee in Watertown, Lake Country. Stenny's Lake Country is coming in as well on Watertown Road. So they will be expanding. I can't wait for them to do that. That's near my home. So that's Stenny's, Second and National, Walker's Point. As they say, you should be here. This is from Jacob. Jacob, who emailed a little bit earlier, came back and said, hey, Bill, the word toxic is a very ugly word. It makes it sound like everybody's just mad at everybody and everything stinks. It's not. We know people have different opinions, and that's fine. But I believe the Green Bay Packers are going to be just fine, and I believe this is a new era. Some of the old veterans may be thinking about rings and whether or not they're going to win them here, but I think the young group of guys just want to make a name for themselves, and they're all going to pull the rope in the same direction. I'm looking forward to a tremendous season. Win or lose, they are my Packers. There you go. John says offensive expectations in game one, not really high for me. I think the D is going to have to get it going early this year, and they're going to have to win a few games. If the playoffs are to be made, I would agree with that.
Bill, can I ask you a question about the defense?
Yes, you can.
We talked to Brad Spielberger last week, and he was great, and he kind of outlined that the Packers should try to be led by their running game and their defense, and they should try to win games by not asking Jordan Love to do too much. Okay, I love that idea. Why should Packers fans this year believe that the defense is finally going to break through and be good? Because they've been drafting first-round picks on this defense for a decade. It's like, well, now they have Lucas Van Ness. Well, why would that make a difference? I don't understand why the expectations for the defense should be different this year.
First of all, I agree with you. I don't think they should be. Well, put it this way. I think the defensive expectations should be different, but in reality, what makes you think they will be different? You know what I mean? The expectation should be good because they've got, 6 round, 7, 8 round, first round draft choices over there. And they're going to get healthy. Lucas Van Ness comes on board. Second year for Quay Walker, Devontae Wyatt. Devondre Campbell's coming in, newly energized, fired up. Preston Smith is excited about what the young guys can do opposite him. Kenny Clark is saying, I finally got some real help, not backhandedly slapping Dean Lowry, but Lowry was just a guy. So I agree with you. 100%. What makes us think the defense is going to be better this season? There's hope because of the numbers. The number being one, how many first round draft choices are on that thing? But there's still, when you got the same guy driving the car, why are you expecting the car to do different things? And that's Joe Barry. I think the only thing different this year is going to be the earlier aggressiveness of Joe Barry. I think there has to be. Now, if they play scared and play not to lose, and Joe Barry goes into the prevents and just keep everything in front of you, and you're living again death by 1,000 cuts, then I would expect that it would probably be a long season, unfortunately. But I want to see the defense get after it. I want to see them be aggressive. I want to see them play with an energy and an enthusiasm and a motor, something we hadn't seen on the regular. What is going to make it different this year? I don't know. That's a great point. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. What makes you think it's going to be different this year if you think it is going to be?
You're asking me? Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. Not a single thing.
Right?
That's what, when I was filling in for you and you're gone, I had Andy Herman on, and he's like, Grant, for the last couple of years, I've expected the defense to take a step, and they haven't. So I'm just not going to expect anything this year, and I hope that they prove me wrong.
Right. I don't know. I don't know. I know what I want to see, but I don't know what would make me think it's going to be different this year. That's a great point. I think, do we think because Joe Barry is going to be on the hot seat, like there's going to be something different there? I mean, maybe I look at it that way. But other than that, I have no idea. None. Because now injuries obviously are going to change that, but I don't know what the expectation should be. Let's go to Josh, listening to us in Atlanta. Josh, welcome to the program, The Bill Michaels Show. What's going on, man?
Hey, Bill, love the show. I just wanted to throw this out there. Maybe another fan already has. But to me, there's so much excitement to the season, and here's the reason why. Is we've had so many seasons now. Yeah, we've had MVP quarterback play. But, we've had some success, obviously. But how many years as fans have we just got kicked to the stomach in January? I'd rather have a Packers go 6-10 under Love and have no expectation. And when January rolls around, whether we're in the playoffs or not, we're not going to lose another big one. I think as a fan, you can only stomach so many bad losses. And the beautiful thing about Rodgers is, and I agree with you, I mean, it's a nice transition because he had his chances.
Mm-hmm.
He had, against Tampa, you can't, as an MVP quality quarterback, you can't lose against Tampa at home. NFC Championship. I'm sorry. You can blame the defense, but I blame that on 12. The Seattle debacle. Anyway, he's had so many chances. I think LaFleur did the best he could with him, but I'm just kind of like ready to sit back and at least now the younger generation, they can watch a Packers team with no expectations and just see how it is. I remember watching the 80s where, beating the Bears was basically your Super Bowl for the year. And,
right.
And I honestly feel that's the season we're going to have. We're just enjoy a few Sundays in the fall, a couple wins here and there. But I'm just kind of loving the fact that in the postseason we can sit back and not get kicked to the stomach again.
Right.
I can't bear any more of those losses. Those are horrible.
Yeah, I appreciate the phone. No, I agree with you. I appreciate the phone call. The last couple of years, you can look at Rodgers and go, you did not perform. And when you get Tampa Bay at home, and when you get Seattle at home in those conditions, it was almost unforgivable to lose those games. No matter how bad the special teams were, the offense did not make enough plays. And the defense actually did. In the game against Tampa Bay, they picked off Tom Brady. They created the turnovers. Aaron Jones coughed it up. Rodgers threw picks. Rodgers didn't take advantage of a lot of running space to put it into the end zone. All that stuff. We remember all of that. And then against San Francisco, special teams sucked. But special teams had no real ramification on the offense. The offense, the line got manhandled. Rodgers looked scared, cold, after talking about the weather all week, about what an advantage it was. I mean, this was like what you wanted. You wanted it in the 20s, the snow globe game. These are our elements, all that stuff. And you coughed it up. The defense didn't lose that game. The offense and the special teams were terrible. Terrible. So I would agree with you. 877-867-1670. Boy, I tell you what, Jordan Love just Devondre Campbell was playing over the middle. Jordan Love just threw one right past him to Jaden Reed for a touchdown in the red zone. And that was Jordan Love's best pass by far this camp. No doubt about it. Now, after that, Devondre Campbell ended up getting a deflection and an interception. Jair knocked Jordan Love's pass to Christian Watson up into the air, and then Devondre Campbell caught it for an interception. But Jordan Love found the window and zipped it right into Jaden Reed, right past Devondre Campbell. Right past his ear hole, and dropped it right in there for a touchdown. So good stuff there. By the way, no David Bakhtiari today at practice. We talked about that yesterday. Matt LaFleur had said it's going to be a fluid schedule for him for camp. Bakhtiari, the Packers' longest tenured player. He doesn't need to be out there every day taking his snaps to get his reps. There's familiarity already there. So just an FYI, because I know that some people had hit me up about that. But go back to what Matt LaFleur stated yesterday in talking about David Bakhtiari, saying he most likely would not be at every practice. They would give him some time off and let him do some physical stuff indoors rather than outdoors. Just so you know. But good question though when it comes to where was David Bakhtiari today. Let's do this. We're going to step out. We're going to take a quick break. Come back. Got a lot more to get to. We are broadcasting live. We're in Green Bay, right across the street from the Hudson Center, right across the street from the practice facility, the Rain HQ Field, which is where the Packers are practicing right now. You can see Lambeau Field high atop our cam right there in the background. We are right out in front of D2, the sports bar, which huge tailgate parties during the season, during the preseason and during the regular season. And huge tailgate parties over here. Great place to come inside the Best Western. They've really upped their food. They've upped their game over here. Pardon the pun there as well. But they do some great things. Thanks to our friends at D2 for hosting us and allowing us to be here. We're just enjoying the day. Just enjoying the day here at Packers training camp. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Welcome to Pella.
Hi, it's come to my attention. I need new windows.
You do?
Hey, sweetie, what's this?
My art project?
Honey, it's rotten. We need to toss it.
Then why do we have to keep our rotten windows, Dad?
Well, you came to the right place. Pella has a limited lifetime warranty on our wood windows, so this doesn't happen again.
Thank you.
Visit PellaWI.com today.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Good to have you. The Bill Michaels Show. We continue on this portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Great Lakes Dragaway, the oldest continuously operating track in the world. 262-302-2138, 262-302-2138. That's the phone number. Go to GreatLakesDragaway.com. All kinds of events going on down at Great Lakes Dragaway. Still have some season tickets for sale down there as well at a discounted price, too. So check it out. GreatLakesDragaway.com down in Union Grove, Wisconsin. Good stuff from them. Getting into it over on the live stream. The argument about whether or not Aaron's better or Brett was better. I'll take Aaron Rodgers every day of the week. Brett Favre had a huge heart. There's no doubt about it. He was tenacious. Rodgers was by far the better quarterback. By far. He didn't throw it away. He didn't turn it over. He threw it away when he needed to, hung onto the ball at times too long. I get all of that. But just he's by far the better quarterback. By far. Brett Favre in his NFC Championship games, he won 2, lost 1 for the Packers out of the 4 that he played in here, lost the 1 against New Orleans. He's got a total, I think, of 7 picks in NFC Championship games and only 9 touchdowns. His completion percentage is well below 60% in those games, Favre's is. So, they both have the exact same number of Super Bowl wins. It's not even a comparison. Not even a comparison. Not even. You can't. Favre was tremendous in his own right. Don't get me wrong; they're both Hall of Fame quarterbacks. But saying you take one over the other, Favre, tell me why. What would make you take Favre over Rodgers? I mean, Favre threw a lot of picks in a lot of playoff games to not get there. Favre went to 3 NFC Championship games. Rodgers went to 5. Yes, the one against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Rodgers could have done more. Absolutely, I agree with that. But you go through the rest of them, and I've told you all along, they shouldn't even have been there in some of those games had it not been for Rodgers being that good. Not even. Specifically explain how Aaron was better without mentioning interceptions. Well, that's like talking about how Babe Ruth is really good without mentioning home runs. I mean, that's stupid. And Will says, well, Favre went to 2 Super Bowls. Okay, look at the team he went with. Look at the defense he went with. He had Reggie White, for God's sakes. The second year that the Packers should have went to the Super Bowl, after that run, they didn't. And it was basically because Romeo Crennel figured out how to defend the offense, and they had not been defended that way the entire season. Not at all. Don't forget, they also didn't defend very well. Their defense was poor. McCarthy and Dom Capers didn't make an adjustment until the second half of a ball game. So, I mean, I've seen it up close and personal. Look, I'm telling you, Favre's a tremendous quarterback. I take Rodgers every day of the week. Every day of the week. So, I mean, you can argue about it. It's what makes, it's what makes the arguments great, but it's not an alibi. I'm just giving you the facts. So but you have your preference, but nobody, they talk about Favre's leadership. Well, Favre also led them down a lot of bad paths. I remember sitting in St. Louis watching him throw 6 interceptions out of obstinance. So they didn't get to an NFC Championship game. They had it sitting right there for the taking. They couldn't do it. Favre just kept throwing picks. 6 of them. So anyway, 877-867-1670. It cracks me up when people get into that discussion. Coming up in the next hour, we're going to go down live into Indianapolis and Big Ten Media Day. Going to talk with Zach Heilprin about the Badgers side of things now that the Badgers are taking the podium with Luke Fickell and company. So we'll talk with Zach about what's been said down there, expectations and hype and such, and everything that's going on in the Big Ten. You've got Jim Harbaugh during the COVID phase gets busted for having contact with recruits when he wasn't supposed to be. So he's going to be suspended for some games. You've also got the discussion of will Ohio State be able to overcome the Harbaugh effect? You've got Northwestern and everything that's gone on there. And in the meantime, you've got the Badgers, who by most accounts are picked to win the West. Will they have enough if, say, Ryan Day falters and Michigan isn't Michigan? Can they overcome? Can in Luke Fickell's first year, could they possibly win the Big Ten? We'll get into all of that discussion coming up here after the top of the hour as well. So some good stuff for when we head down to Indianapolis. Packers practice going on right over my shoulder. And you were looking live right now at the picture over at Ray Nitschke Field and the Hudson Center and Lambeau Field in the background. We're live in Green Bay, this portion of the program. Brought to you by our friends at Kane and Kane Jewelers. As they say in West Bend, they want to rock your world. Yes, they do. They are fantastic people. Andy Kane, great guy, family-owned business, long time. So whether you're looking for an engagement ring, an anniversary ring, a wedding band, if you're looking for earrings, necklaces, pendants, whatever it happens to be, you got to check them out. It is worth the trip to West Bend, Wisconsin. Go to Kane, K-O-E-H-N, KaneJewelry.com. That's KaneJewelry.com. Check it out for yourself. Andy Kane, his wife Jen, their whole staff, great people. Again, Kane and Kane Jewelers, they are in West Bend, and it's worth the trip. Going to talk with Zach Heilprin coming up next on The Bill Michaels Show.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, it's day 2 of training camp in Green Bay. Day 1, a little up and down on the offensive side of the ball, which is to be expected with so many new faces. That includes quarterback Jordan Love, who's now the unquestioned number 1 player at the position. But running back Aaron Jones says he thinks things will pick up for Love and the rest of the offense.
We know within a couple of weeks, the offense, everything will be clicking. It takes those reps of all being together, back again. We're putting in new installs every day, so guys are maybe a little uncomfortable or get out there and kind of question themselves. So, but I feel like once we get through all the installs and go through it again, everybody will be comfortable being out there and they'll just be able to play fast. And when you got 11 guys playing fast, that's kind of hard to stop.
Packers going to get tomorrow off before heading to the field for practice number 3 on Saturday. Turning to Wisconsin, they're among 7 teams going through Big Ten Media Days down in Indianapolis today. Yesterday, it was reported that Badgers going to play 3 games on NBC this season. It includes a pair of night games against Ohio State and Nebraska. Wisconsin can head to Fall Camp next week down in Platteville. They open the season September 2nd against Buffalo.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
As the #1 farm insurer in Wisconsin, Rural Mutual Insurance is rewarding their farm policyholders for their loyalty and commitment to Wisconsin agriculture through their farm dividend program. The farm dividend pays up to 5% back on your farm premium. Visit ruralmutual.com to learn how you could qualify.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Well, the Brewers are getting the day off after taking down Cincinnati 3-0 yesterday to finish 10-3 against their division rivals this year. Has them sitting 1.5 games up on the Reds for first in the NL Central. Things don't get any easier for Milwaukee. They now head to Atlanta to face the Braves again. Atlanta took 2 of 3 last weekend on the best record in baseball. Series starts tomorrow. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heilprin.
We are live. We are in Green Bay. The Packers practicing again and just getting ready to wrap things up over at Ray Nitschke Field in the Hudson Center as practice number 2 pretty much in the books. Mike Clemens is going to be heading into the locker room. We hope to hear some sound from inside the locker room. Probably hear a lot of it coming up tomorrow on the program as well. But the clouds have kind of engulfed the area a little bit, which is nice because the sun was getting pretty hot outside. But most of the fans milling around and enjoying the time here in Green Bay. In the meantime, we now go down to Indianapolis, where Big Ten Media Day is again underway. Zach Heilprin on site, and we've got to the Badgers now being featured in Indianapolis. Zach, how you doing?
Doing good, Bill.
So what's the buzz today, Badger-wise?
Yeah, I mean, Luke Fickell, we just got done talking to Luke Fickell. We'll get the players here in a little bit. Had a chance to talk with a couple players earlier today. But Luke Fickell, he's one of the new guys on campus, right? He's one of 3 new coaches that's speaking today. And I think there's a lot of people interested in what exactly Luke Fickell's Badgers are going to look like, because it's likely going to look a lot different than what Paul Chris and Jim Leonard's Badgers look like. So I think that's been a big focus of the national folks that are here.
How much do we expect it to be that different? I know, defensively speaking, Jim Leonard has been able to really create a lot of pressure with his ends, and he's been able to do a lot of things with his safeties. Does Luke Fickell play anything similar to that, or do they like to bring pressure just strictly up the gut with their front four? How do they like to play?
It's going to be interesting. But what we saw in the spring, and what I was talking with Muma Meta today, he's one of their inside linebackers. And I think the word that we're going to find out with this defense is multiple. They have the flexibility and the knowledge to play a bunch of different fronts, whether it's a 4-man front, it's a 3-man front, whether it's 6 DBs, whether it's, this rover that they have the ability to throw in and use all different places. Like, they have the ability to play so many different ways because of the different body types that they have from the previous staff, which had so many edge guys, right? The way that they use their outside linebackers. But those bodies can work in a bunch of different spots. And so I think multiple will be the defense, the words that I'm going to use defensively for them. They're going to work some of what Jim Leonard worked with and some of what we've seen for the last decade, but also bring in some of the stuff that they used at Cincinnati as part of a 3-3-5 defense that was very, very successful and right up there in the top of the country in 2021 when they went to the college football playoffs. So I think it's going to look quite a bit different. I think there's going to be some similarities on defense. Offensively, obviously, things are going to look significantly different to the average fan and to most people that watch, just because the formations are going to be so much different. But the idea behind what Wisconsin is, they're going to pass the ball more, right? But they still want to be able to run the ball down people's throats. And I know Braylon Allen wouldn't be here if that wasn't the case.
The big question I have is the weaponry that they're going to be throwing to and what they have in the wideout position. Give me your thoughts. Has it been, because we're used to not having a lot when it comes to weapons in Wisconsin. It's almost an embarrassment of riches when you go to Ohio State and how many wideouts they've had and how many have been drafted, whereas opposed to Wisconsin, they've been few and far between. Give me your thoughts on the weaponry they have to throw to this year.
I think it is as talented a wide receiver room as they've ever had. And, when they needed to overhaul it because the numbers weren't there, especially since they're going to be playing, 7 guys on a regular basis. So they bring back Jermaine Dike and Keontae Lewis and Skylar Bell, and then went out and added a bunch of big-time players that I think people are going to really love to watch. C.J. Williams, former high 4-star recruit that went to USC, 5-star in some people's minds. Bryson Green is down at Oklahoma State and led them in touchdowns last year, and he's here. And now the one guy that I think is really going to jump out is Will Pauling from Cincinnati. I think we've talked about him before, Bill. He's from Illinois. A really, really good player, quick, sudden, can get over the top of you really quickly. I think he's going to be dynamite for them in the slot. So they have those 6, and then there's a bunch of other guys behind them that I think could help as well. I've seen one person say that it's the biggest question mark for this team, and I couldn't disagree more. I think it is going to be a strength of this team. The different weapons that they have at the wide receiver spot is as good as it's been.
Tell me about Quincy Burrows, because I had a couple people that tell me they were really, really, really high on him.
He's a big body. I was talking to Tanner Mordecai today, the quarterback, and the word that he used with him is physical, and that's exactly what we kind of saw. I mean, he's a bigger body, playing on the outside. He had a little bit of a slow start to spring, and there were, again, there's a lot of guys there, and so it's hard to jump up. I'm not sure if he's going to be a guy that's going to jump out and be somebody that helps them right away this year, but he's a young guy, and I think in future years he's going to be a player for them. I was really impressed with some of what he was able to do. It's just there's a lot of guys in that room right now that are maybe more ready to contribute right away.
When you start talking about guys that can throw, give me your thoughts on Miles Burkett, because he was a guy coming out of Franklin High School here in Wisconsin that had a ton of accolades and a lot of expectation, and now has fallen way down the depth chart. What are the plans for him, do you think?
Yeah, I think Miles is probably third on the depth chart at this point. He was not like heavily recruited, right? Because he's a little bit of a smaller quarterback. He has plenty of big enough arm, but I think just because of what they did in that room, it's going to be tough for him to jump up. They went and got obviously Tanner Mordecai for this year, but Braden Locke was as impressive, almost as impressive as Mordecai in the spring, and he's a redshirt freshman. And then you have Nick Evers, the big time recruit that they got out of Oklahoma in the transfer portal, is another guy that probably is the most physically gifted of all the quarterbacks there. And then they bring in next year, they bring in a Mabry Matoyer, a 4-star quarterback. So I think it's going to be an uphill climb, but he didn't leave. And I think you have to give him credit for that. A lot of people in his position, a new staff, a new offense, not necessarily, Phil Longo's he's not necessarily Phil Longo's guy. So, but he stuck around because he loves Wisconsin and he's going to compete, and we'll see what happens with him. But I personally kind of feel like it's going to be an uphill climb.
I know people wanted to talk about Jim Leonhard going to Illinois, and that was a topic of conversation yesterday. I can't imagine. Now, I didn't get a chance to hear it. You will and did, but I can't imagine that Luke Fickell wanted to dive into that pond at all, right?
See, I got a one-on-one with him later today that I probably will ask him about it. But it was not a topic that was brought up in the two little scrums that we've had so far with Luke Fickell. I'm sure he'll answer it and he'll be diplomatic with it, and he'd like to wish him well and all that good stuff. But yeah, I think Luke would have liked to have had him stay on staff, but I also think that it was probably a long shot, just based on what had happened between Chris McIntosh and Jim Leonhard. So. But I'm going to ask him about it. We'll see what he says.
Talking with Zach Heilprin, sports director of the Zone Madison, covering Badger Media Day and the Big Ten Media Day down in Indianapolis. So yesterday there was a lot of discussion about Harbaugh and what's going on at Michigan. Anything new today? Today it's all the topic. I was watching some of the college football stuff this morning and listening to it driving up here to Green Bay, and everybody's got an opinion on it. Like, well, it was during COVID. It's no big deal. He shouldn't be suspended for this. Others are saying he was doing things outside of the rules. He very much should be suspended for this, but there's not going to be an impact. Give me your thoughts on what kind of is being said down there in Indianapolis.
Yeah. So he went on the podium right after Luke Fickell went on the podium. And when the coaches come off and we get like another, 8-10 minutes with the coaches. So I didn't hear pretty much what was going on with Jim Harbaugh and some of the questions that were at him. And now he's right now talking with some local reporters. So look, I think it's a situation, not knowing the specifics of it, that if it's serious enough, they think it's serious enough to suspend him. Okay. But we also know who they play in those first 4 games. Nobody. So I think it's personally being blown out of proportion just a little bit, just because if he gets suspended, he gets suspended. It doesn't really matter. It's not going to make a big impact. But I have not had a chance to talk to a lot of people down here about Jim Harbaugh.
I want to ask you about Ryan Day. If Ryan Day does not beat Michigan, now last year they had him at the shoe, they had him where they wanted him, and it all went away. Ryan Day can't beat Harbaugh. If Ryan Day loses again this year, do you feel that there's a ton of pressure on him or Ohio State to then remove him? Or do you say, well, they lost one there at the Big House. Let's wait and see one more year if they bring him back to the shoe? Because I got to think, and I know a lot of people at Ohio State not happy with Ryan Day right now.
Do they go and make the playoff again like they did last year?
Good question. That's
what I'm saying. Like,
yeah.
Right? Like if they do and they put together the performance they did, they had Georgia. They had them. They were right there. Kick that field goal, and they're going to the national championship game. So, He lost two conference games. I know it's Michigan, and you're an Ohio guy. See, I understand, that games means everything. It's kind of like on a much lower level, Wisconsin and Minnesota. And if Wisconsin had lost 13 or 14 straight to Minnesota, like Minnesota had, people would be going crazy. But I just think what Ryan Day's done, especially recruiting-wise and everything like that, it'd be very difficult to say, see you later. But again, Ohio State does things differently. And the obsession for Ohio State football and beating Michigan is at a different level than anything I think anybody in this state probably can comprehend. But I think it'd be very tough for them to walk away from Ryan Day. But again, it depends what it looks like. I mean, if they fight them all the way down to the wire and then they don't go to the Big Ten championship game and they still make the playoffs, I mean, is playoff coaches getting fired? Like, that's just it's crazy.
Yeah. Well, on the other hand, though, I mean, he chose to sit on the football instead of trying to get it closer for a field goal. That might have been a little bit easier kick. But also, don't forget, they fired John Cooper for the same reason, because he couldn't beat Lloyd Carr, and they cut him loose.
Yeah.
So you're right. It's just a different standard there.
It's a different standard, and the other thing is, next year, could we be looking at back-to-back games every year with these two teams?
Mm-hmm.
Because you go away from the divisions, they're going to play, on the last day of the regular season, and then potentially the top two teams in the division or the conference going to play again in the Big Ten championship game, and so you might get two chances at beating your rival in back-to-back weeks. I think it's going to be interesting. This is a whole new age for the Big Ten, and I think Ryan Day was talking yesterday about moving the game like to earlier in the season, so you wouldn't be playing back to back. But that also doesn't sound very appetizing. I think people love that being at the end of the season. So it's an interesting topic.
Give me your thoughts on just kind of the randomness. You've got Nebraska, who's forever been trying to be something in the Big Ten since they joined. You've got Iowa, who every year we talk about them possibly being a powerhouse, and they have fallen short. Minnesota had their brief, spot in the sunshine, and they were rowing the boat, and then they've gone away. Give me your thoughts on some of those second-tier teams that we look at as competition, but they just have not been able to put it all together. Who do you think this year could emerge?
We talking about Big Ten West?
Yeah.
Are we just talking? Yeah. Well, look, Wisconsin's been picked to finish to win this division 4 straight times. Including this year, they didn't do it the last 3 years. So I think, can Wisconsin emerge back into being the team that is the top of this division? I think the biggest question here is, what does Iowa's offense look like? Their offense is the reason that they have not been able to get over the hump. I mean, their offense last year was horrendous, and it was through, I think, like 6 or 7 weeks, one of the worst all time in football history, in college football history. And so with Cade McNamara, the transfer from Michigan coming in, they would seem to have a chance to figure it out, because we know they're going to be good, very good defensively. They just are. And can the offense produce at a high enough level? And if it does, then you're looking at a team like Iowa that could get over the top. But again, I think it's Wisconsin. I think it's Iowa. Minnesota, we'll see. I know Brett Bielema talking yesterday feels very good about his team and thinks that they should be, that they're underrated. And then Purdue and Northwestern. Northwestern's horrible, or going to be horrible. They're going through a lot right now, and Purdue's got a first-year coach that has to instill a new culture there with Brian Brom moving on. Jeff Brom, moving on. To me, it's Wisconsin. To me, it's Iowa. Those are the two teams that are going to be fighting for it. And if Iowa's offense figures it out, they could be the team that wins it.
Always good to talk to you, Zach. Great stuff down there at Big Ten Media Day. Look forward to the one-on-one with Luke Fickell. So and some of the answers to those questions too. Look forward to hearing all that stuff. Good stuff, man. I appreciate it.
All right, thanks, Bill.
Thanks, pal. Talk to you soon. There you go. That's our own Zach Heilprin down there at Big Ten Media Day in Indianapolis, and some great insight. I'll tell you who won today's practice here in Green Bay and who was doing all the up-downs or just finished doing all the up-downs in Green Bay, as a practice yet again is in the books. Number 2 down with a few more yet to go. But today's practice has now come to an end as fans begin to trickle away from the Rainitsky Field and the Hudson Center, and they got their glimpse at a lot of the guys. By the way, Dontavian Wicks did not practice today. We just got word that he had a concussion. So Dontavian Wicks not practicing today. We'll see if he's back at it again tomorrow. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends God Love Quick Trip. Stop this morning. When you have an RV full of dudes, kids, and you're waking them up early. I was up at about 4:30 this morning, on the road by about 5:15, and we get up to the travel center, the Quick Trip Travel Center there, just below Oshkosh, and stopped. And you wake them up, let's go monkeys. And all they say is, I can't wait for, and then fill in the blank. The waffle breakfast sandwich, the cheeseburgers that they love, a piece of the pizza. This is all breakfast food, by the way, that the kids wanted to eat. A couple pieces of pizza. They all grabbed some drinks in the back. Then they wanted a couple of donuts and just the Glazers. So it was just Quick Trip. God, I love it. Just love Quick Trip. And it doesn't matter if you're going in there for the bacon, which is on sale right now, 2 packs, $4, limit 4, or you're taking a bunch of kids in there. They got to go to the bathroom. They want to get some drinks. They want to get the breakfast sandwiches. They want to get the hamburgers, the cheeseburgers. They want to get pizza. They want to grab all that stuff. God love Quick Trip. I love it so much. They are also the official fuel provider of the big unit cruiser that we came up here in today, and going to be heading to Road America just after this here later today. So thanks so much to our friends at Quick Trip.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Welcome to Pella.
Hi, it's come to my attention. I need new windows.
You do?
Hey, sweetie, what's this?
My art project?
Honey, it's rotten. We need to toss it.
Then why do we have to keep our rotten windows, Dad?
Well, you came to the right place. Pella has a limited lifetime warranty on our wood windows, so this doesn't happen again.
Thank you.
Visit PellaWI.com today.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the program. Good to have you. Bill Michaels Show. We continue on. Hey, don't forget about our friends over there at the Northern Lights Event Venue. Northern Lights Event Venue. And they got a lot going on. They had last night, they had some good music outside. Northern Lights Event Venue is such a cool place. And I've been talking about it now for a while, and it doesn't matter what you're looking for. If you're looking to just go enjoy a drink on the Milwaukee riverfront, or if you're going to go there and plan a dinner, say for some coworkers, something special that you're going to do, maybe a rehearsal dinner, small reception of any kind for that matter, wedding, photo shoot, business event, northernlightseventvenue.com. That's northernlightseventvenue.com. Beautiful space, downtown Milwaukee, right on the Riverwalk, right next to the Screaming Tuna there in the 3rd Ward area, and just across from the 3rd Ward, actually. But awesome stuff. northernlightseventvenue.com. See it for yourself. northernlightseventvenue.com. So a couple of different things. First, okay, let's start with all the different stuff we got going on right now, okay? First and foremost, today you had the offense again doing the up-downs. The defense won the day. 10 up-downs for the offense, and the second practice for the Green Bay Packers has now come to an end. And the offense, while it did play okay, the defense played better. Lucas Musgrave today, by the way, a couple of drops. He had an inside slant in the red zone. Would have been a touchdown. I mean, hit him right in the hands. And he's a tremendous target, big target. Reminds you of kind of a Jimmy Graham-ish type of target. But again, big kid, got to hang on to the football. Jordan Love did get one to Christian Watson. An out route from the 5-yard line. Christian Watson went up and got it. Rasul Douglas was all over it, man, all over it. But Love put it in the and this is what you want to see. These are the things that I look for. He put it in the only spot that Christian Watson could get it, not where Rasul Douglas could get it. It was a really solid pass, and you saw that flash today. So that was good. Still got a right tackle battle going on between Zach Tom and Yosh Nijman. Angabari today, they were switching back and forth opposite Preston Smith. It's Justin Hollins and Angabari kind of going back and forth. Hollins was on the first team yesterday, Angabari on the first team today. No reps with the ones yet with Lucas Van Ness. Not that I really expected, but you never know. It could happen. So that was some of the things that came out of camp today. So, but the right tackle position, you know, I don't know if put it this way, you know, there's depth there. You know, you've got some depth. You know, you've got experience. So not overly concerned about it, but you know, you've got something there, right? Also, let's do this. Let's get back to the phone calls real quick because I want to get into some other stuff. Sean Payton had some things to say today. Sean Payton, new head coach, the Denver Broncos, he had some slaps today that we want to get into the discussion of. Vagabond John is on the line. John, how you doing today, man? What's going on?
Bill, it is the thick of summer. Couldn't be doing better. Love the heat wave. For anybody out there complaining, don't worry. We'll have snow again soon.
Right.
Wanted to go back to a question that you and Grant were mulling earlier on what gives us confidence that this defense will be any better this year than last, right? We've had a lot of changes over the last, you could even go back 6-7 years. Every year it seems like the defense has a new chance, and I've got a couple answers. Number one, I think your analogy for the car was awesome. I love car analogies. My one with Rodgers is you sell a classic car before it gets rusty in your backyard.
Mm-hmm.
We did that. For the defense, we had a couple flat tires last year. The defense was not healthy for most of the season. So I think that's one checkbox. But even more so, early in the season in that mid part, we're relying on a lot of rookies at really fast reacting spots. Quay Walker being in the middle off-ball linebacker, it's a really difficult position to play as a rookie, and we're asking them to start. Yes, they're first-round draft picks, but they're rookies. So there's a caveat there. Last reason here, we ended the year on a 5-game streak where our opponent did not score more than 20 points. The defense ended hot. They did not have Rashawn Gary. They did not have Eric Stokes. And we held the Bears, Rams, Dolphins, Vikings, and Lions, 3 top 5 offenses, to 20 or fewer points. If you can't win in the NFL when you're holding teams under 20, you're not going to win in the NFL.
Right.
So there's my reason why I think it could get better. A lot of momentum at the end of the year.
Absolutely. That's fair. Appreciate the phone call. Vagabond John backing up Joe Barry. What I will say is I hope the second half version of Joe Barry shows up and not the first half version of Joe Barry. I think what happens is we look at that team that was living death by 1,000 cuts so much into the season before finally they became a little more aggressive. And I think it was more, honestly, I mean, I have no specific knowledge of this, but I do know that Matt LaFleur was paying more attention to the defense. Now, whether or not he said we're going to be more aggressive, I don't know. I don't know. But something changed, and I go back to 2 years ago when Matt LaFleur in that Detroit game went to Joe Barry at halftime and said, damn it, you got to put pressure on the quarterback. We're getting killed. You can't do this. And then he became more aggressive and the defense changed. So will the real Joe Barry please stand up? Maybe we ask that question. Because if you go back to first half Joe Barry versus second half Joe Barry in the stretch run that they had, it was 2 drastically different defenses. But I will agree with you. It was better. And they did streak, and they did look better down the stretch. Remember, guys complained. Devondre Campbell complained. Preston Smith complained. They were like, you're not using us. You're not doing what we – Jair Alexander complained. He's like, I'm not here to be playing zone coverage. I'm not getting paid to play zone coverage. So guys spoke up throughout the season. And that's when Joe Barry listened, or Matt LaFleur listened. Somebody listened and said, hey, you need to figure out how to put pressure on quarterbacks. So 100% agree. Let's go to Ed, listening to us in Madison also. Ed, how you doing today, man? What's going on?
I'm great. I love that call by Vagabond John. I feel kind of like I'm following a stud now. I got to come in with some good game here. Listen, I agree with him 1,000%. I just think Gary is going to be an X factor this year. We got to keep him healthy, and I know maybe we're going to see a different kind of coaching this year, because we're going to find out how LaFleur is actually going to be an offensive coach, not have a quarterback that's going to be leading us down some path of uncertainty every year. I'm trying to let go of the Aaron Rodgers debacle of issues that we've been dealing with, drama. But yesterday kind of really hit a chord for me, and I don't know how you felt when you heard it. I'm kind of curious where you come in on the $35 million that he's willing to give up, where he didn't do squat when he didn't squat, but he didn't seem so willing to do that here because he's having fun or a blast, I should say.
Well, anyway, and he also
I didn't get to hear you.
Yeah, he also made some comments too about a real shot at getting to a Super Bowl. As if what he was doing here with or without Davante Adams wasn't legit. Look, he is indoctrinating himself to a new team. It's like dating a new girl. You're going to do anything and everything you can to impress and do the right things. It's not until after you've been together for a while that some of your idiosyncrasies begin to show, So what, I mean, plus, it could be where he's just coming to the end of his career going, this is my last legitimate shot at getting to and winning a Super Bowl, and I got to do everything I can to get there. Otherwise, I'm just going to be a guy collecting a lot of money and padding my stats. So, maybe he's just doing it in that sense too, with a different realization. But I'll say this, and I said this earlier today in this discussion, with Rodgers doing this, it is a stark difference from when he went on the Pat McAfee show after the rumors began to circulate that he was going to get $50 million a year, up to $150 million for 3 years, and said that's not true. He's not doing that. It's not that amount of money. And then it turns out to be exactly that amount of money. And he had to be the highest paid player in the end. Now, part of it was the Packers were trying to keep him happy. So you can maybe in part say, shame on the Packers for going in that direction. But I said all along, he probably should have sat down with Gutekunst. Gutekunst should have looked him in the eye and said, take what you want. And every dime you don't take is what I'll spend on another player. And then it's up to Rodgers. He didn't have to sign that big contract when he was here, but he did. He knew exactly what he was doing. It's kind of like, and the analogy I gave was, when you know the end is coming with a certain employer, you know you're about ready to be done, whether it's your 2-week notice, a month notice, whatever. But you know it's coming to an end. You know you're moving on. Okay? You don't have, the utmost respect for the employer you're leaving. You appreciate maybe what they've done for you, but you're ready to move on. You're not giving them a bonus. You're not giving them a break. You're not going to take less money. None of that. You're like, I'm going to get everything I can, and then I'm going to move on to the next job, the next girlfriend, whatever. Right? That's kind of what this feels like. Like right now, he's doing everything right. He's enjoying himself. The New York media, he's just the darling of New York. He hasn't lost a game yet, and he's doing everything right. And hypocritically, let's be honest. I mean, because all the things, this whole thing about needing to get into camp early and work with these young guys and get on the same page, and how important those reps are, and just the familiarity and the team bonding, all of that was just a giant steaming pantload of hypocrisy for what he was saying here over the last couple of years. Taking a pay cut, giving money back versus what he was doing here, where he knew he was backloading that contract that was going to handcuff this franchise. Again, he knew he was on his way out. He knew that the time was going to come where they were going to choose Jordan Love, and he was going to be like, you know what? That's fine. You choose Jordan Love, but I'm going to make damn sure that I handcuff you when I leave. So Jordan's not going to have an advantage over what I had when I started. So just all these little things, and then all the backhanded shots he takes at the organization by promoting the Jets in a particular way, like a real legitimate shot at a Super Bowl. What the hell have the Packers been doing here the last decade? Your last legitimate shot was at a Super Bowl, if I remember, was when you tucked the ball and were going to run it, and instead you threw it into triple coverage because you didn't have enough balls to try to bust it into the end zone against Tampa Bay. So true legitimate shot at a Super Bowl, that was right there. You were 15 yards away. And all you had to do was grow some cojones and run somebody over, stick it into the end zone, and you could have found yourself in a Super Bowl. And instead, you chose to be a coward and throw it 3 straight times to the guy that was covered instead of even the guy that was open. So all these little things that he's doing, you know why he's doing it. He's got enough money. Now it's about legacy. Something we've been saying here for a while, but he was so hell-bent, again, because we know he lives with a chip on his shoulder. He was so hell-bent on showing up Gutekunst because Gutekunst chose Love. He's not mad at Love. He's mad at the organization. And then when he called up, or his guy called up, Mark Murphy, and said, get rid of Gutekunst or get rid of Rodgers, and Murphy said, nope to neither. Talk to you later. Well, you're under contract. You're not going anywhere, and I'm not getting rid of Gutekunst because you're pissed off and you're a whiny, cryy diva. Ain't happening. Well, then he was mad at Murphy too. Now he's not going to play. So, okay. Didn't play his best. Played with a broken thumb. Gave his all. I give him credit for that. But didn't do all the extra things that he's doing now because he was pissed. Nothing more, nothing less. Going to go ahead and take a quick break. Stay tuned. Got a whole lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up. We are live. We are in Green Bay, right across the street from the Ray Nitschke Field, where the Packers just wrapped up their second practice of training camp. Lambeau Field off in the background. So beautiful. Good stuff. Good to be here. Glad to be here. Thanks to our friends at D2, a sports bar inside the Best Western, right here where we're parked. They hosted us, done a great job. The Bang Bang Shrimp, fantastic. Good stuff. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
You're going to do all that walking, you're going to need some showering, especially in this heat. And if you're going to shower, you got to use good water. That is from the Water Doctors. H2, the letter O, doctors.com. And they are based out of Waukesha, Wisconsin, but they have the Connecticut water softening system all over the state of Wisconsin. Fantastic people, and they do a ton of work, charitable work, for military members, veterans, and their families, and they donate to Fisher House, Wisconsin. They big supporter of the motorcycle ride this year. Call my buddy John Atlee, over there at the Water Doctors, for the best water softening system, whether it's the fact that your clothes get clean, you don't use as much detergent, or you just feel better getting out of the shower, or the water that you drink that you can take in. I challenge anybody at your home right now, unless you have a Connecticut water softening system, take your water in, let them analyze it. Let them take a look at it compared to the Connecticut system. I guarantee you the Connecticut system will be better. It's healthier. It's cleaner. There is no taste in water. There shouldn't be. So if your water tastes like something, it shouldn't. There shouldn't be any. It should just be crisp, clear, cool. That's it. And refreshing. And that's the Water Doctors. Our friends from the Connecticut Water Softening System and the Water Doctors, 262-549-7733, 262-549-7733. Give them a shout. It is fantastic stuff. Going back to the argument of what happened in New York with Rodgers giving money back and not versus here. It's just two different scenarios. That's it. Nothing more. Now we're into the discussion. Well, Favre wouldn't have done that. Stop. Favre's also the guy that's, many are testifying against for taking money from charity. It's like, stop. Okay. It's whatever. So the bottom line is that Rodgers played extremely well when he was here. The last NFC Championship game he played in was not good. The other ones you can look at and say, you know what? Bostic doesn't go up and try to catch that ball. They go on to win. The defense was better in San Francisco. Maybe they win. Defense was better against Atlanta. Maybe they win. You go through all those different scenarios. You can't look at the record and say, well, he only won one, because that's just a dumb comment. It just is a tragically dumb comment. You are looking for a reason to hate, and there's no reason to hate. You can be upset about certain things that are said and certain hypocrisies. I get that, because you can clearly tell the relationship is soiled. We've seen that, whether it's in a personal relationship or this business relationship that he has with the Packers. It's done. It was time, And look, the only thing I can fault Gutekunst for was coming out of the season prior when Rodgers had the busted up knee and played the entire season with it after injuring it in game 1 against the Bears. They thought Rodgers might be done. They started to look at it and go, well, is Father Time catching him? And then instead of bolstering this team with additional weapons or whatever, they chose to go in the direction of Jordan Love, somebody that he had scouted the year prior as well. And I don't think Jordan Love was worth trading up to get. They will argue that, obviously. But I'll say this, that's the only thing I can fault him for. He stuck with his convictions. He thought Rodgers might be approaching the end. Other than that, the first 2 years, a little bit iffy in draft for Brian Gutekunst. But since then, you can't argue with some of the guys that he's hit on. John Runyon comes in and starts right away. Retaining Elton Jenkins, keeping David Bakhtiari, what they've done, with keeping Kenny Clark, finding Devontae Wyatt. Hopefully Quay Walker takes that next step, taking the shot at Rashawn Gary. I thought that wouldn't be a good pick. It turned out it was a terrific pick. Hopefully he returns to form. Jair Alexander, Eric Stokes, who played extremely well his rookie season before getting banged up last year. You have to give him credit for what he's been able to do. And I'm hoping Musgrave and Watson and Dubs and Jaden Reed and Samari Toure and all these guys, Kraft, they're all the real deal. The retaining of Aaron Jones, the retaining and keeping around the 1-2 punch of Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, being able to fortify that secondary, bringing in Adrian Amos, then cutting them loose and being able to refortify it. All those things has made this team viable. Now you just hope that the young guys come of age. That's what you're hoping for. 877-867-1670. When we get back, I promise you we'll talk about Sean Payton's comments in regards to the New York Jets. I kid you not. Sean Payton making some derogatory remarks. How about that towards the land that is Aaron Rodgers? Got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. Don't forget, coming up next hour, I want to remind you, in case you missed it, Mike Clemens joined me in the RV a little while ago, and we sat here and chatted, and he brought up a lot of good stuff, and we didn't get a chance to really go too deep into it. But on the opposite side of the spectrum, it was a great discussion, and it was early on in the first hour. Some of you don't get all 4 hours. So what we're going to do is replay it coming up in the next hour. So stay tuned for that. Hang in there. We're broadcasting live just outside of Ray Nitschke Field and the Hudson Center. Got Lambeau Field in the background. The kids are on the bikes. They're out riding around and enjoying all the Packers players and such. And it's just a buzz here in Green Bay as Packers practice number 2 of training camp is now in the books. And it was a practice that was won by the defense, as a matter of fact. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at TheNiceAsh.com. TheNiceAsh.com, 323 West Main Street, downtown Waukesha. Love the place. Bourbons, whiskeys, good selection in that big walk-in humidor of cigars. 13 different flavors of hookahs. Live entertainment Thursday, Friday, Saturday. There is no reason not to go down there and just hang out, relax, and enjoy yourself. That's TheNiceAsh.com. That's TheNiceAsh.com.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Welcome to Pella.
Hi. It's come to my attention. I need new windows.
You do?
Hey, sweetie, what's this?
My art project?
Honey, it's rotten. We need to toss it.
Then why do we have to keep our rotten windows, Dad?
Well, you came to the right place. Pella has a limited lifetime warranty on our wood windows, so this doesn't happen again.
Thank you.
Visit PellaWI.com today.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Good to have you. The Bill Michaels Show. We're rocking on. Having a good day today. We are broadcasting live. We're in Green Bay. We are across the street from the Packers practice facility at the Ray Nitschke Field. Their second practice of the preseason has culminated. Some good stuff out of Jordan Love today. We saw a few good throws that he had, specifically one that he dumped in to Christian Watson. There was one to Jaden Reed. Did have the one pick as Jair Alexander got his fingertips on it, knocked it into the air. Devondre Campbell came down with it. The defense won the day today. Tavian Wicks did not practice because of a concussion. So we did find a few things out today, but beyond that, not a bad day. And weather-wise here, it was hot and humid, but it wasn't stifling the way that they had been predicting. Like it was supposed to be 94, 95. I don't think it's quite that hot. It is sticky, but I don't think it's quite that hot. We had some cloud coverage today, which kept it a little bit cooler. By the way, the only thing on the docket today of interest regarding Major League Baseball, the Cardinals and the Cubs are playing in St. Louis later today. Other than that, that's about it. You got a doubleheader with the Angels and the Tigers, but nothing for the Brewers until tomorrow. You got Adrian Hauser against Chirinos tomorrow in Atlanta, as the Brewers are now in Atlanta for a 3-game series against the Braves. You got the Cardinals will still be hosting the Cubs. Cincinnati will be on the road tomorrow, beginning a 3-game series in LA against the Dodgers. So that's where things stand regarding that. We did want to get into the stuff that was stated by Sean Payton. And Sean Payton, the Denver Broncos coach now, said he doesn't want his team to look in the rearview mirror. But, he looked in the rearview mirror. He called the work that Nathaniel Hackett and his staff did with the Broncos one of the worst coaching jobs in the history of the NFL. Said there were 20 dirty hands around quarterback Russell Wilson's career worst season that included 16 touchdown passes and a league-high 55 sacks. Ultimately, Payton summed it up with, everything I heard about last season, we're doing the opposite. I mean, ripped Hackett, who is now with the New York Jets, where Hackett is the offensive coordinator and traded for the high-profile quarterback Aaron Rodgers, his buddy. It doesn't happen often where an NFL team or organizations get embarrassed, Payton said, but that happened here. Part of it was their own fault. Relative to spending so much blanking time trying to win in the offseason, the PR and pomp and circumstance, marching people around and all this stuff. We're not doing any of that. The Jets did that this year. You watch. Hard Knocks, all of it. I can see it coming. Remember when former Washington owner Dan Snyder put the dream team together? I was at the Giants in 2000 when I was a young coach. I thought, how are we going to compete with them? Deion Sanders is there now. That team won 8 games or whatever, he said. So listen, I just put the work in. He ripped what's going on. What's going on with New York Jets. Payton supported Wilson throughout the offseason. He's offered that, a better structure this year, better vision on offense. As he said, he's got plenty of gas left in the tank. Man, we ran that kid through the car wash 100 times now. But that's a storyline, though. How is it going to look? How is it going to work? You know what? We're fixing it and going to find out, as Bill Parcells would say, he said. And on Hackett's general manager, George Patton's treatment of Russell Wilson, Oh, man, there's so much dirt around that. There's 20 dirty hands for what was allowed, tolerated, the freaking training rooms, the meeting rooms, the offense. I don't know, Hackett. A lot of people had dirt on their hands. It wasn't just Russell. He didn't just flip. He still has it. This BS that he's hit the wall, no. Shoot, they could get a play in. They were 29th in the league in pre-snap penalties on both sides of the ball. Couldn't do it. Couldn't get in a damn play, he said. That was his fault. That was the parents who allowed it, he said. That's not the incrimination on him, but the incrimination on the head coach, the GM, the president, and everybody else who all watched it just happen. Now, a quarterback having an office and a place to watch film is normal, but all of those things get magnified when you're losing, and that other stuff, I never heard of it. We're not doing any of that. Just ripping the way Nathaniel Hackett handled the Denver Broncos. I mean, ripping it. And you know what? Look, he's doing two things. One is, whatever he's heard about Nathaniel Hackett, he clearly has no, attraction for. Secondly, he's sticking up for his guy. That's what he has. It's not like he can say, you know what, Russell hit the wall. Wilson sucked last year, and he's going to suck this year. He knows monetarily they're stuck with this guy. Of course.
I was going to say, Bill, the extension kicks in. It goes through 2029. Right? He doesn't have a choice.
Of course he's going to back his guy. So I take it with a little bit of a grain of salt, but, man, did he unload on Nathaniel Hackett now with the New York Jets. Holy crap. When we come back, really good conversation in the first hour of the show today with Mike Clemens. I want you to hear it. Both the full half hour. Stay tuned. That is coming up next in the Bill Michaels Show.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, it's day 2 of training camp in Green Bay. Day 1, a little up and down on the offensive side of the ball, which is to be expected with so many new faces. That includes quarterback Jordan Love, who's now the unquestioned number 1 player at the position. But running back Aaron Jones says he thinks things will pick up for Love and the rest of the offense.
We know within a couple of weeks, the offense, everything will be clicking. It takes those reps of all being together, back again. We're putting in new installs every day, so guys are maybe a little uncomfortable or get out there and kind of question themselves. So, but I feel like once we get through all the installs and go through it again, everybody will be comfortable being out there and they'll just be able to play fast. And when you got 11 guys playing fast, that's kind of hard to stop.
Packers going to get tomorrow off before heading to the field for practice number 3 on Saturday. Turning to Wisconsin, they're among 7 teams going through Big Ten Media Days down in Indianapolis today. Yesterday, it was reported that the Badgers going to play 3 games on NBC this season. It includes a pair of night games against Ohio State and Nebraska. Wisconsin can head to Fall Camp next week down in Platteville. They open the season September 2nd against Buffalo.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Rural Mutual is the #1 farm insurer in Wisconsin for a good reason. As a company founded by farmers, they understand the ag industry and its challenges. Local agents offer farm families the best advice and personalized coverage. Visit ruralmutual.com to find an agent near you.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Well, the Brewers are getting the day off after taking down Cincinnati 3-0 yesterday to finish 10-3 against their division rivals this year. Has them sitting 1.5 games up on the Reds for first in the NL Central. Things don't get any easier for Milwaukee. They now head to Atlanta to face the Braves again. Atlanta took 2 of 3 last weekend on the best record in baseball. Series starts tomorrow. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heilprin.
Welcome back in. Good to have you. Good to have you. The Bill Michaels Show, we continue on. Awesome stuff today. It's been a whale of a day. You get so much when you come to camp and you see people and hang out and shake hands and you get a chance to run outside during a commercial break and go see a few things, get back here, see some people milling around, see some faces you haven't seen in a while. So good stuff. And thanks to everybody, including our friends at D2, which is the sports bar inside the Best Western Hotel right here in Armed Forces Way, next to the, Bart Star Plaza. Thanks to them for hosting us and putting us across the street. A tremendous facility, tremendous place. And hopefully you make a chance to make it a destinational place when you come up for maybe a Packers game. Going to do a little tailgating, walking around, or maybe you're just going to come up here, on an off day and mill around a little bit. Stop in because D2 is a great place. Great place. Rob's a good guy, good people in there. So thanks to them for hosting. So our guy, Mike Clemens, we ended up earlier today, and normally we don't play a ton of stuff back twice, but it was such a good discussion. And Mike and Mike came into the cruiser, and we just kind of sat down, and it was just one of those conversations about football, about Packers football, and we just kind of BS'd. So, but people in the first hour, not the whole network isn't on the network in the first hour. So for those who missed it, didn't get a chance to hear it, I wanted to make sure you did. For those that, heard it the first time, maybe you want to listen to it again and maybe pick something up, or just listen to it again as white noise in the background. But regardless, myself, our guy, our Packer reporter on the ground up here in Green Bay on the Constant, Mike Clemens, sitting here in the RV, just chit-chatting. Take a listen. How was yesterday and Jordan Love and coming out of the locker room and debuting and confidence and swagger and all that stuff?
It's the first day of practice. They're in helmets and shorts. Matt LaFleur said, predictably, there were some good things. There's a lot of things that we got to work on. We just talked to Matt. Here's a great storyline that Tom Silverstein from the Journal Sentinel is working on, and that's I've said to you, the player I'm most excited to get some looks at is this number 11, Jaden Reed, okay, who's going to line up in the slot.
Right.
And as Spoon, as we call him for Silver Spoon, pointed out, man, they're lining him up everywhere, right? He's in the slot. He's the X, he's the Y, he's the
right.
And he said, when you've got a guy, do you plan on using him everywhere, or are you just trying things out? And he goes, and LaFleur goes, yeah, we're trying it out, but I mean, you'd like him to move him around anywhere you want.
Right.
And so he said, how many reps does he get? I mean, if he's got 5 or 6 different spots to line up and you've got these timed practices under the CB, and he goes, yeah, like 3, maybe.
Right.
And LaFleur said, that's an interesting point. He said, because you think, oh, yeah, we must have run this play 15, 20 times during the OTAs, right?
Mm-hmm.
During the mini camp.
Right.
He said, you start going back over the cut-ups and you start looking at your log, 3. You only ran that play 3 times. And so then I said to Matt, so what's the number? Before you say, I'm putting this into the game plan for the Bears, 10,
right.
15? And he laughed. And he said, this is the thing you deal with all the time. There's sometimes you may end up with a play, or, you might even call it, that you've only repped it 5 or 6 times.
Yeah.
And that's why these guys have, got to be paying attention that, hey, look, we see this opening, and if we put you in this spot and run that route, it could go for 7.
That goes back to what he said when he was asked about some of the young guys and the knowledge and, who has advanced, who's done well, who hasn't. And that's when yesterday he said, before yesterday's practice, he said, we're about to find out who's been studying, who's been going over the tape and the cut-ups, and who's been understanding where they're supposed to be and when they're supposed to be, because you're only going to get so many reps at certain things. And that's some of the stuff that he was alluding to, that these guys are going to have to, some of these guys are going to be used in multiple situations, and they're going to have to pay attention to where they're supposed to be and learn it quickly, because they need to grow up quickly.
So I got up here early and I got some interviews with people within the organization and some on tape that, can I play in like sort of my regular spot on Fridays tomorrow? After 1:15 or so.
Yeah.
And you're going to be at Road America tomorrow.
We'll be at Road America tomorrow.
Yeah, this would be great.
Ton of drivers, but we're keeping everything open just in case you got anything breaking, and then obviously the last hour basically for you.
Okay. Well, hey Grant. So I sent some cuts we had with Jordan Love. So I want to tell a quick story. Mark Murphy, Packers CEO and president, is in front of nearly 8,000 people at the shareholders meeting. Now, people who come to shareholders meetings tend to be the most loyal fans. They've driven 3 hours to watch a PowerPoint on finances.
Right.
And sit in a hot sun.
Yeah, that's exactly. There is no shade when you're up here in 90-degree heat and sweltering, and your sun is beating down on you, no doubt.
So they're pretty much, they didn't come there to boo Mark Murphy for getting rid of Aaron Rodgers or anything like that. Maybe they did in 2008. I'm trying to remember. But we're in this transition. And Rob Reichel, who's a regular on the show, great reporter, has got a great column today in Forbes Sports. You know, check that out. Where he covers the Packers there, where he said, don't forget, man, here we were in 2008, and Aaron Rodgers was being booed after the trade August 6th to send Favre to the Jets. He was booed at family night. He would come to his home, and someone had written, you know, nasty things in chalk on his driveway, all kinds of. There's a great reflection on that today. But love, everybody's here to love him, right? I mean, we have moved on, and so on Monday, Gutekunst goes up there. He does his entire discussion, and I can't play tape from that because it's a shareholders meeting, a long discussion. But he didn't mention anything about we've moved on from Aaron Rodgers. He just talked about who's on the roster right now, what they did in the draft. Then Mark Murphy comes up and he says, all right, before we go any further, I just want to say a few words about Aaron Rodgers. There's a couple of people that applaud.
Yeah.
As some folks have tweeted to me, you could hear a pin drop. But there's about a dozen or so clowns, guys right behind me, and Dennis Krause, and Tom Silverstein, and Rob Domofsky, they went, boo.
Right.
Just like that.
Right.
And Murphy put up his hand. He went, no. Listen, he was a great player for us for 18 years, you know, and he had a remarkable career. And someday, you know, not only will be in the Hall of Fame, but we're going to retire his jersey here, you know, in Green Bay. And then there was a nice, everybody let the air out, and there was a nice, moderate, polite, classy applause. I tweeted that out as it happened. Took a picture of Mark and tweeted it out. Hey, some mild boos when he mentioned Aaron Rodgers for the first time. This thing has 500,000 views. I mean, people are just going nuts over it.
Right.
First, I got about 20 people say, well, I didn't hear it. Well, no, it's because you were 40 rows up.
Right.
You know, these people are down in front. I'm telling you, it happened because Murphy reacted to it. And Murphy was I'm going to cut that off. We're not going to boo Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
We need Aaron Rodgers, okay? Bart's no longer with us. We don't see bringing back Brett anytime soon. I need to bring this guy back on Alumni Day, you know?
Right.
We need to keep this guy a forever Packer after his little run with the Jets.
Yeah.
So yesterday, I talked to Jordan Love, and I said, I wanted to get into this a little bit. And I said, first of all, so it's your 4th year, and now you're starting as the starter. This must be a better deal for you, right?
Oh, yeah, 100%. First year, you know, you're running out there, your eyes kind of big, you know, see everybody out there for the first time in practice. So I know my routine. I know what I got to kind of lock in and focus on.
The word from the team has been patience. It's a new quarterback. Like Mark Murphy in front of 8,000 shareholders. Or how do you react when you hear those words?
I mean, it's just how it is, you know. Patience is not going to be perfect right away. This is a process. It's growing pains that, you know, you got to work through. You know, just like today is day one. It's not going to be perfect. It's something that we got to build every day.
The big thing for Jordan Love right now is he hasn't taken a snap as the starter, but he's got a lot of support. Aaron Jones has been outspoken. Other guys have been outspoken. And you've told me, we've talked about this both on the mic and off the mic, that there's guys in that locker room that are like,
they've been waiting for this day.
They've been waiting for it. We got his back. It's not that they didn't give an effort with Rodgers, but they're going to do everything they can to make sure that Jordan Love succeeds.
This is their dog.
Yeah.
Okay. They're 2 or 3 year players. They're not 10-year players that are being brought back from the Houston Texans to run my receivers room.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But, you know, Aaron Rodgers is trending again today. Why? Because he's giving back $35 million to the Jets.
Right.
And, you know, and Hard Knocks hasn't even started. I mean, he's figuring out a way to be, you know, the top story day after day after day. And that might be cause effect because he makes that announcement yesterday. He has a second press conference, and they only been in training camp there, 4 or 5 days, right? 24 hours later, guess who's on a plane to New York today? Delvin Cook, Vikings running back. Because Breece Hall, remember how good he looked against the Packers here at Lambeau when the Jets beat him?
Right.
He's coming back from an ACL from October. So Aaron Rodgers gives him back $35 million because why? The next day, let's bring in Delvin Cook to get things started.
You kind of felt that was going to happen.
The best thing that this organization can do then to keep that from being distraction is to get behind Jordan Love. But they're tentative right now. Well, we got to be patient. Well, he's a first-year guy. No one's just saying, this is our guy.
Right.
But I said to Jordan, you got the respect of these guys, Aaron Jones on down. How much does that help you at practice?
No, it makes a huge difference. You as a player, you want everybody to respect you. You want the support of the team. That's pretty much what it's been. Everybody's been great, very supportive. Like I said, it comes down to those relationships we have with each other. But no, it's been great, man. It's something that, even if I didn't have the support of the team, I'm still going to go out there and do my best every day because, being the leader of the team, that's what you got to do. It's never going to be easy, never going to be in your favor sometimes, but you just got to go out there every day, put your head down, and no matter what the, good, bad, indifferent, you just got to go out there and work every day.
Really, the big news yesterday was when Rodgers texted Love.
Well, he told us that because first we asked Jordan, in those 3 years, we know that Rodgers treated Love better than, what
Favre treated Rodgers.
Yeah. Favre's like, I'm not here to teach guys, just watch me. Right.
Right.
Jordan yesterday was asked, did you and Aaron talk about what happened here that summer of 2008 when he had to step in and replace Favre?
Yeah, those things we've talked about when the time we were both here together. He kind of talked about how it was for him, and obviously Brett leaving and things like that, his transition. Obviously, he said it was hard as well. It's never easy, but he kind of just put his head down and worked, and made his own name for himself. That's kind of the same thing I'm trying to do right now for myself.
So then we asked Jordan Love, do you still hear from Rodgers? And he said, yeah, as a matter of fact, last night.
Yeah, no, Aaron reached out to me last night, and that's exactly what he said. Yeah, he said, just be yourself, have fun, enjoy it. It's obviously my time now, and he just said, be yourself. And that's all you can do. That's kind of been the message from everybody is, be yourself. Don't try and be anybody else. Don't try to be Aaron, things like that. Just be yourself, and that's kind of what I'm trying to do.
I saw yesterday, I think it was Dario Melendez. I was kind of, quoting some of his tweets when he was talking about Jordan Love.
Channel 12 down in Milwaukee.
Yeah, and he had posted a lot of critique of Jordan Love. Looks good, strong in the pocket, command of the huddle, looks confident, all that kind of stuff. And then it got to throwing with the wind yesterday. And one of the things that I've always talked about with Rodgers and Favre was they had big arms, tight spirals, and the wind, it affected them, but not very much. It was almost negligible.
Aaron Rodgers will tell you about, he's got 4 different passes. Like your approach shot to the green?
Right.
He's got 4 different trajectories. He thinks about throwing through the wind. Mm-hmm. We've had those discussions with him. So, yeah, Jordan's back there, and there's a couple times that they would send like Watson deep, or some of the other receivers deep, and he was just way off. So he was asked, how much of that was that like 25, 30 mile an hour gusting wind?
Yeah, no, I think just day one, that was one thing I was like, man, we gotta lock in on that one. But deep ball day one, that's something that, you got to have those reps at. And it takes time. Like I said, it's not going to be perfect on the deep ball, but after today, looking back on it, that's one thing that I felt like those are the couple of throws that I missed. They're just maybe a little bit short that, weren't right over the shoulder like you might want. But obviously, the wind accounts for that. You can never make excuses for that. You just got to be able to play through it.
The day one, it's day one of training camp, and you want to glom on to so many different things. But what stood out?
The drop by Christian Watson in the right flats. Come on, man.
Yeah.
And tomorrow I'll go more into details how these guys got together, 8 or 9 of them, to be with Jordan Love and work out, which is great. Fans love to see that kind of stuff. I think, coaches do too, because they're so limited in the time they can be with these guys. But they're trying to get some momentum going. You're moving down the field, right? And then you've got great timing. You got a great play fake in the backfield. You got Jordan Love with good footing. He's got time. He looks. He turns to his right. He puts a ball right out there, just floats it out there into the right flat. And Christian Watson goes down, cuts right, goes out. He's at the sidelines. The hands are out, and boom, it bounces off his fingers. Like, wow, what are you?
Right.
I mean, it's a drive killer.
Right.
And he shouldn't be. There should be more than that. So then he goes back to Dobbs over the middle, and he catches things with 3 guys on him. And, Dobbs is going to need Watson to catch those balls. We all know that once you get the ball into Watson's hands, look out.
Right.
Nobody can stop him. So, yeah, what were some of the positives? And we asked Jordan Love that.
Yeah, no, we had a couple strikes. I had one to Rome that made a great catch, but and we had a through route, which is always nice, right over the middle to Samari. But yeah, I mean, there's a couple of throws here and there that you always wish you can get back at the end of the day, but at the end of the day, there's not like one specific throw I like more than the other. I like completions, and whenever you can get that, it's always fun. But just looking back on it, like I said, those deep balls are just one thing that I wish we could have had a little bit better connection, but something that we're going to build and grow over time.
Talking to the Kunis RV, Big in a Cruiser. We are live outside of Rainisky Field here in Green Bay, across the street over at D2 in the Best Western, and chatting with Mike Clemens, our inside NFL reporter with NFL Sirius Radio. So let's do this. We're going to step aside, take a quick break, come back. More with Mike. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Welcome to Pella.
Hi, it's come to my attention. I need new windows.
You do?
Hey, sweetie, what's this?
My art project?
Honey, it's rotten. We need to toss it.
Then why do we have to keep our rotten windows, Dad?
Well, you came to the right place. Pella has a limited lifetime warranty on our wood windows, so this doesn't happen again.
Thank you.
Visit PellaWI.com today.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Good to have you back. The Bill Michaels Show, brought to you by our friends at Buzzer Billy's. Buzzer Billy's in La Crosse, Starlight Lounge right upstairs on Pearl Street. You can't go wrong. And we are locking in our trip to La Crosse for Oktoberfest again this year. And one of the stops going to make full show is going to be over to Buzzer Billy's in the Starlight Lounge. Always love going there. We head over to the, what is it? The Grant, the Freightliner is the restaurant we go to. Is another one.
Oh, the Freight House?
The Freight House. Freight House we go to.
Freight House.
The Charmant we go to. A couple places, but always. And every now and then, I may stumble into the library. I've drank heavily at the library and stumbled around.
Really?
Yeah, I have. I have to admit that. We kind of
karaoke bar.
Yeah, didn't do karaoke, but stumbled into the library and did a few things there. But to always make it a point, I'm always going to be stopping into the Buzzer Billy's in the Starlight Lounge. So we are now making plans to head to La Crosse for Oktoberfest. So looking forward to it. But thanks to our friends at Buzzer Billy's as well. Big supporter of the motorcycle ride coming up on Sunday, September 3rd. So please, if you haven't gotten already registered, please get registered. Go to facebook.com/Big Unit Poker Run or Big Unit Poker Ride. Again, facebook.com/Big Unit Poker Ride and get yourself registered. There's a lot of great prizes, but also it's an incredibly worthy cause, and that's Fisher House, Wisconsin. Mike Clemens and I sitting, chatting, chewing the fat, football fat, if you will, inside the RV. Stay tuned. Here it is next. Day two, obviously they want to make corrections from day one. They want to look for the mistakes that were yesterday that aren't the same today. But if you're going to circle a few things and say, this is what I want to pay attention to, what are they?
Well, right now what they're doing is, they'll be in helmets and shorts again today and then tomorrow. And I think they put on the pads maybe this Saturday or one more practice after that. So right now it's just getting the bodies warmed up and used to the routine of the day. LaFleur's being very tentative about everything. I know a lot of fans like saying, hey, I go to the team website and it doesn't say like later in the month. It says they got to practice that day, but it doesn't say what time.
Right.
And we don't have any inside information. He just put out a schedule today, like, okay, practice next week will be at 10:30 for the days that we're doing it.
Right.
So he's got a completely new team with so many young guys. And so he's trying to see what works out best. Plus he's doing it all in a brand new building. Right.
Yeah, right.
And I want to take you over there and show you some of that later on. But, so, today, just trying to repeat from yesterday, they're installing the game plan too, or the playbook. So today's day two of the install. There are probably about 8 or 9 installs before they get through all the different kinds of formations on offense and defense that they like to work. Here's how young the receivers are on this Packers team. After Devontae Adams left a year ago, and now Lazard goes over to the Jets, and they released Sammy Watkins in December or so, right?
Yeah.
I was looking at the roster, I think headed into the draft or so, and the oldest guy on the team for the wide receiver group was Jeff Cotton, age 26 years old. He's been on 2 or 3 different teams, including I think the Cardinals. What was it? The Jags, the Chargers, and the Cardinals, and he was on the practice squad. So I thought, maybe they got something here, right?
Right.
Like the next Alan Lazard, right? They cut him yesterday. he showed up with a non-football injury related thing. Yeah, maybe got hurt in the offseason, warming up. They cut him yesterday. So you know who the oldest receiver that Jordan Love's got to throw to? Samori Toure, second-year man drafted last year, 25 years old. That's how young these guys are.
Yeah, when you talk about Christian Watson, the infamous drop last year in Minnesota, like you said yesterday, very easy out, in a drive killer, he has a drop. He came into the league with the tradition of drops.
On the scouting reports.
I know it's something. It's just a matter of concentration, is all it is. But is this something that how much does this hurt the relationship between him and Jordan Love?
It does. It does. Oh, it's already there.
Yeah.
I mean, Dobbs is the guy that Rodgers would prefer to throw to in that situation.
Right.
I mean, they figured out ways on how to get the ball over the middle on little short routes, high percentage routes to Christian Watson. Remember that touchdown he scored in front of us at Soldier Field, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, you just get the guy past the linebackers, get the ball in his hands, and he's gone.
Right.
He'll just blow past the safeties and corners and the refs and the fans and everybody. He's just gone. Yeah. And that's the trick that they've got to figure out. But maybe the answer is Jaden Reed, right?
Well, yeah, but Jaden Reed doesn't have the same speed as Christian Watson.
No, but I'm just saying this is why I keep saying we got to see what 11 can do, man.
Yeah. I agree. I think for this machine to go, Christian Watson has to be a contributor.
Yeah.
Has to. And if somebody's got to get in his rear end and James Jones was the guy. Remember, James Jones would have a few drops that were so highlighted.
James Jones, I don't remember if he's a third-round pick or fourth-round pick, but in the summer of 2007, which turned out to be Brett's last year, and Brett was putting everything he could now. That was their second year with McCarthy, and he felt really good. He said, you know what, this might be the youngest team I've been on, but it's some of the best players, some of the best athletes. His father, Deanna's father, died. And so he had to go down to Hattiesburg for a funeral.
Yeah.
He got back late Sunday night and everything was closed. Everybody was, back at St. Norbert's back then. But he went into the facility and turned on the tape. And someone said, hey, we heard you were here late last night watching tape till 1 o'clock in the morning. Where were you looking? He says, I was looking at this James Jones kid. I mean, he was catching everything they threw at him.
Yeah.
And he started looking at him. And that became another one of his weapons as a rookie that he threw to over the middle. James Jones always could catch the ball.
Because James had a little segment in his career where he began to drop some. Remember, he had that drop in Philadelphia.
So did Devontae.
And so I remember James ended up calling like some of his former coaches. And one, I was either his high school coach or his college coach said, we've talked about this. You're running without the ball. He said, you got to watch it into your hands, and then go. You got enough speed and then go. And I'll never forget that conversation I had with him. And I think you were there as well, where he just said it was just watching it. Once you got it, then you run. And you hope that Christian Watson, somebody he trusts, tells him, watch the ball into your hands. And once you got it, then you run. There you go. That was the conversation Mike Clemens and I had a little earlier today. And thanks for those that already heard it. Thanks for putting up with it. For those that hadn't, hope you enjoyed it. It's just two guys sitting around talking football and personnel and everything else regarding the Green Bay Packers, who today we're out here on the practice field. We are in Green Bay. We are across the street from the Ray Nitschke Field here in Green Bay in the Hudson Center at D2, the sports bar inside the Best Western. We are inside the RV, the cruiser, just outside, but nevertheless, good to be here today. Good to see the Packers practice today. Practice number 2 is now in the books. We got a couple of segments left to go in today's program. Stay tuned. We got a whole lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. This portion of it brought to you by our friends over there at Kemps, K-E-M-P-S, Kemps.com. That's the way to go, K-E-M-P-S, Kemps.com. They're right there in Cedarburg, Wisconsin, and they've been in your, dairy and produce section for a long time, or dairy section for a long time. Inside many grocery stores. Click on careers. They're looking for good people. They're looking for CDL delivery drivers. They're looking for production people. They're looking for maintenance engineers, and they're willing to pay and pay bonuses. Kemps, Kemps.com. Click on the word career, not jobs, careers. That's a specific title for a specific function, feature. Careers at the bottom of the page, and you too can sign up and send them all your information, and they're interviewing now. So they're looking for good people right now. Go to Kemps.com, click on the word careers at the bottom of the page, and who knows, you could be interviewing with them tomorrow.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the program, Bill Michaels Show. We continue on. We are just next to Rainitsky Field and across the street from the Hudson Center here in Green Bay. Packers practiced earlier today. Locker room then open. Christian Watson talking to the media. Take a listen.
Pass catcher. Sorry, I'm getting caught up. Definitely wasn't a poor pass catcher.
You know, hey, it's a little different last year if I dropped something or ran the route the wrong way. I was going to hear from it, from the quarterback. But maybe they got a little easier than you guys did.
I mean, just from probably their mentality and their mindset. I mean, I definitely feel like it's a little different because I think that we have I mean, even if 12 last year wasn't portraying that or putting that out there, I mean, it just comes with, being with a Hall of Fame quarterback. I mean, if you would have never said a word about, anything at all, I feel like anybody who steps out there, I mean, if they threw, a random person on the street out there, I mean, I think they would be nervous if they were, catching the ball from Aaron Rodgers. So I think that just comes with, how much success he's had and just knowing that he has a certain standard of ball he wants to play. And nothing, nothing saying that, J Love doesn't have that same standard, but I feel like these young guys are able to grow with J Love a little bit more instead of just having that instant, like, all right, I'm playing with a Hall of Fame quarterback, first ballot Hall of Famer, and I've got to, produce right away. I feel like it's just a little bit more comfortable.
The coaches are going to grade it, though. I mean, you're going to hear about it in the film.
Oh, yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, no, I mean, it's the same. I think that this, the standard is the standard. Like I said, I mean, J Love has the same standard as 12. I think it was just that specific situation. But yeah, no, I mean, at the end of the day, you're going to hear about it. You do something poor, you put a bad route on tape, you're going to hear it, the same way you would hear it regardless. So
other than that mentality of just saying I'm not going to let one drop affect me, was there anything from a physical standpoint that you worked out at all? Hand placement, anything at all, or is it just more of a mental?
Yeah, no, I mean, there was a lot of different little things that I worked on in the off season. But I mean, in terms of catching the ball, I mean, it was definitely just finding more consistency with my hand placement. Keeping my hands tighter together, high pointing the ball a little bit more, over the shoulder, and just little things like that. I mean, sometimes I find myself with my hands too far apart, and that leads to bobbles or the ball going through your hands. So just finding little ways to just improve. I don't think I was a poor pass catcher. Sorry, I'm getting caught up. Definitely wasn't a poor pass catcher. I just, left some opportunities out there, with poor hand placement, and that is what it is.
Is your development as a younger player? What's it like to compete every day against Jair Alexander, Russell Douglas across from you?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's great. It's competitive. There's always going to be, some smack talk out there. So, I mean, it gets us going. And to know, we're going out, with, two of the, in my opinion, two of the best corners in the league. It's another opportunity to get better each and every play we're going up against them.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, unless you got earplugs out there, I'm sure everyone's hearing it.
Hey, Christian, what clicked for you last year, and how much you looking to bring that into this season? It just changed just like that.
I mean, it was just a confidence thing. I mean, just to get that weight lifted off my shoulders, and to be able to show the world who I am, and then instead of giving off the bad image that that I put out before, with starting the season off a little slow. Kind of once I was able to just go out there and prove to myself and prove to everybody who I was, it was just smooth sailing from there.
You proved it to the world. Now you got a new quarterback. How you two looking going in, and what are you looking to do as a team?
I mean, I got the same mentality as I did at the end of the season. Just find a rhythm, find that momentum, and just roll with it. I think that we have to find our rhythm as an offense and with J Love, and we just got to roll with it. Keep on growing.
Great pressure for J Lo, right? I mean, he's stepping into a big time shoe. How can you help him through this? And how about your relationship with him?
I think the best way for us to help him as a wide receiver core is just to be the best, possible versions of ourselves. Just go out there and, when he gives us opportunity, we got to make the most of it. I think we got to help him, find his, rhythm and his flow. And we just got to be the best version of ourselves, all 11 on the offense. And that's only going to help him, be the best version of himself.
Appreciate you.
Yep.
The oldest guy in your room is?
I think it's me now. Oh, Smorey? Yep.
I mean, that's a young group.
Mm-hmm.
Are you guys excited to shock the world? Like this class came in and this new quarterback to prove people wrong, I guess.
Oh, yeah, no, for sure. I mean, everyone's going to have an opinion. Everyone's going to try to, put some stuff out there. But, I mean, the only thing that we're worried about is what's going on in our room, our position room, our offensive room and in our team room. I think that, we are all confident in ourselves. We're confident in our group and in our offense. And if we just go out there and be us, then we're not worried at all.
There you go. Christian Watson talking to the media just a little while ago after practice. Packers practice here today, and practice number 2 now in the books. He did have a couple of nice catches. He did have a drop yesterday, something that obviously he addressed there in some of the comments talking about things that you just can't have. So all that kind of good stuff. That is Christian Watson and some really good commentary there. And the tape brought to you by our good friends over there at, Mike Clemens and the gang. By the way, one of the cool things today was that even Matt LaFleur got in on the bike ride today. Usually the head coach will, either walk over or take a different type of transportation, maybe a car or something, and park around back at the Rainitzky Field and in the Hudson Center. But today, Matt LaFleur on a bike with some kids. So cool stuff today here at Packers training camp here in Green Bay. Let's do this. We'll break. We'll come back. What did we miss? We missed just a handful of stuff today. So we'll check in with our guy, Grant Bills, coming up here when we come back. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. And at Pella, I love my Pella Windows and Doors. Matter of fact, at home right now, they're keeping the house cool with all the heat on the outside. In the wintertime, it's just the opposite. They keep the heat in and the cold out. Love them, whether it's beautification, value to your home, curb appeal, different hardware, styles of window, whether it's the vinyl Impervia, which is just as strong, if not stronger, than, say, fiberglass windows. 3 different types of wood windows. They have many, many, many different types of windows to suit your budget, your wants, your needs. So they're just fantastic. I love them. You know that. I love the security at night that they have. All of them work and work extremely well. I can go on and on and on. You can bundle them right now. They're bundling. Everybody's bundling stuff. They're bundling them. You can put some stuff together, a door, some windows, and you can get it for one low price. It's awesome stuff. Go to PellaWI.com. That is PellaWI.com, or call them 855-PELLA-WI. That's 855-PELLA-WI. We wrap it up live here in Green Bay. Coming up next on the Bill Michaels Show.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Welcome to Pella.
Hi, it's come to my attention. I need new windows.
You do?
Hey, sweetie, what's this?
My art project?
Honey, it's rotten. We need to toss it.
Then why do we have to keep our rotten windows, Dad?
Well, you came to the right place. Pella has a limited lifetime warranty on our wood windows, so this doesn't happen again.
Thank you.
Visit PellaWI.com today.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
You got to hit it, bang it, rock it, put it in the pocket. Hit it, bang it, rock it, put it in the pocket. Hit it, bang it, rock it, put it in the pocket.
Welcome back. Good to have you. The Bill Michaels Show, getting ready to wrap things up here in Green Bay. And again, thanks to our friends at D2, which right across the street here from the Ray Nitschke Field. Also, you've got we are right across the street from the Hudson Center and the Packers practice location. So thanks to them for hosting our spot here inside the Cunis RV Big Unit Cruiser, which is getting a lot of rave reviews. People come by and they stick their head in, say hi, knock on the door, whatever. And we've had more than a few that have swung in today. So we certainly appreciate everybody coming by and saying hi. Our guy Mike Clements was here a little earlier, so thanks to him for stopping by and then providing all the sound inside the locker room after the fact. It is time to head back into the studio, though, with our guy Grant Bills, who's on the scene with what did we miss today?
Bill, you said not a lot of baseball games today. There's a lot of teams that are on bye or not playing today. There are a couple stories. We learned that the Angels aren't going to trade Ohtani. No, they're not doing it. Instead, they traded two of their top three prospects for Lucas Giolito and Ronaldo Lopez, who are fine pitchers, but they're rentals for the rest of the year. So here's what I'm wondering. They have a 17% chance to make the playoffs, and I don't think either one of these moves helps them out a lot. And now going into next year, they're without their second and third best prospect. I don't think this helps them win this year, and it might hurt them in the long run trying to convince Ohtani to stay because they just gave away two of their huge chips. I don't get this at all.
They want to keep Ohtani because they want to try to talk him out of, $600 million. They're trying to talk him into a little bit less, but I don't know what they're doing out there. That, you know what? That's been a train wreck. It will be a train wreck. It'll continue to be a train wreck for a long time. I get it. He's a fan favorite. I get it. You don't want to, find him, cultivate him, only to watch him go to one of the bigger market teams. But it's like, what are you doing? I agree with you. I can't imagine Ohtani going, oh, yeah, I'm not going to win here, but I'll just stay here for a boatload of money and a team that's not going to be very good. I mean, eventually Mike Trout's going to want out too. I can't imagine him having this depth of loyalty to them for this long a period of time and into another contract. So I eventually think Mike Trout's going to want to get out of there as well. But that's some of the news today. There you go. What else?
Well, I respect it. Like, if you want to give up some top prospects to go get guys, get legit guys. Right. Go get, Arenado or Goldschmidt and Flaherty from St. Louis. If you're going to give up the package and your best guys, I don't know. You're just renting arms that aren't even that good. That doesn't make sense to me. The Padres, it seems like, are going to trade Josh Hader. Your guy, Bill, Bob Nightingale, said several teams have spoken with the Padres in recent days, believe that all-star closer Josh Hader and former Cy Young winner Blake Snell will be traded, particularly Hader. It sounds like Josh Hader is going to get dealt for the second straight year.
Yeah, it's amazing because Hader's been so good for them. But you talk about one of the teams that have underachieved, 49-54 in the season, and they are 10 games back in the standings between them and the Mets. Both of those teams stuck so much. The Yankees, too, for that matter. I mean, the Yankees are 8 games back. They're still over 500, but the Yankees are dead last in that division. For those teams to stick so much money into those teams and be these epic failures, and, we want to bitch and moan about the Brewers and what they're doing and the way they're doing it, but you can't argue with the results because they've at least had success throughout the season. And right now they're 11 games over 500 as opposed to what's going on in San Diego and both teams in New York. You feel bad for Hader. Not that the Brewers are going to want to bring him in. God forbid they bring him in. They got, who's the reliever they have in Cincinnati? De La Cruz? It's not De La Cruz. It's, Diaz. Diaz is their reliever.
Oh, Diaz, yeah. Diaz the guy you threw the other night.
Yeah. So Diaz, Cincinnati's not going to get him. So other than that, wish him the best, but not going to worry about him because he's not going to be hurting us anytime soon.
I just hope he gets traded to the American League. Trade him to the Rangers or the Orioles because I don't want to have to watch Josh Hader on another NL rival. Like, don't trade him to Philly. Right. I don't want to deal with that. This, I guess, isn't the most important and pressing story for us, Bill. It just made me laugh. This is from Mike Reese, who covers the Patriots for ESPN. Second straight day that Kyle Duggar gets Mac Jones with an end zone interception. Jones forced this one and immediately dropped to the ground to do push-ups as a self-imposed penalty.
It's almost like watching the movie Major League. For every fly ball you hit, you owe me 20 push-ups. And so he pops one up and then down he goes. Yeah, I can appreciate that. That's good stuff.
I don't know what to make of that. It's just, I don't know. If you were a linebacker, Bill, or an edge rusher, and you're unsure, you're on the fence about your quarterback already, as I'm sure many members of the Patriots are unsure and unsold on Mac Jones, and you see that, what do you think? What's your perception of that guy?
Mac Jones, he's in a press-it year because, remember, there was a lot of rumors about Bill Belichick trying to trade him this offseason and get rid of him. And so he's really pressing to try to prove that he's worth a keeper. By the way, I don't know if you had this or not. Did you see Jalen Ramsey left the practice today in Miami after he collided with Tyreek Hill? He was carted off. They feel they've just got the back end of that defense finally solidified by picking up Jalen Ramsey in the offseason. Like, they're ready to go. And then he and Tyreek Hill collide, and Ramsey gets carted off. So you hope it's not serious, but man, anytime you're carted off, it's serious.
Yeah, and I guess I saw some responses to those reports, or like they're hoping he's fine. It doesn't seem like they're all expecting the worst, because sometimes, a guy goes down in practice and everyone knows. Right. The coaches and the players, they go, oh yeah, this seems like it's the worst. Maybe seems like that's not the case for Jalen Ramsey. Fingers crossed. I guess I don't really have rooting interest in the Dolphins. I just like to see Jalen Ramsey play. He's really good.
Right.
Last thing, maybe one more baseball tidbit. You mentioned Jack Flaherty and the Cardinals. Mm-hmm. I'm reading some of the quotes. Katie Wu, who covers the Cardinals for The Athletic, did a sit-down interview with him. He's talking about his time as a Cardinal in the past tense. It's very bizarre.
Right.
It's very weird. Just so many things going on in St. Louis were so weird, and this is just another thing on that list, I suppose.
Yeah, it's St. Louis is they're done. And I said that going into the All-Star break when they were double digits back. They weren't coming back, and they just aren't. For whatever reason, it just went horrifically wrong. The pitching got banged up. The hitting never really culminated. And, much to our, surprise and delight, the Cardinals never got it going. They're still sitting, I think 11 games back. Pittsburgh, well, you talk about a team that got off to a fast start too. In Pittsburgh, now they're not sellers nor buyers. They're just trying to tread water and get through the season and continue to cultivate some of that young talent. But St. Louis at 11 games back, this was not supposed to happen to them. So I can see St. Louis burning it down a little bit, getting rid of some of the aging dead wood, and then trying to come back with some of the guys that they have on that team. Because you're not going to get rid of Arenado and Goldschmidt and a couple of those guys, but some of the other aging pitchers and such, yeah, I can see those guys being on the way out, no doubt.
Yeah, and it all stems back to them bringing in Wilson Contreras to replace Molina. The season was kind of doomed from that point. It seemed when the Cardinals expected Contreras to be the guy who came in and managed the pitchers and did all the things that Molina did. And when that wasn't even close to the case, it just seemed like they didn't know what to do. They didn't have a plan B. They didn't know what to do with themselves.
Yeah, no doubt. And it's just been, as I sit here and smile, it's been fun to watch. The Yadier Molina-less St. Louis Cardinals go down in flames.
Agreed.
What else we got? Anything else before we get out of here?
I think that's about it. I'm looking at my show rundown for tonight, and it's just a lot of random bullet points because there's a lot of interesting stories in baseball. There's some training camp stories, like you said, and this Sean Payton story is just wild. He didn't have to say anything. He could have came out and supported his quarterback bill without taking a massive dump all over Nathaniel Hackett and the Broncos last year, and he chose to do it anyway. I kind of like it. It's fun. It's spicy. But I don't know why he had to do it.
Yeah, right. There's a lot of questions and eyebrows raised as to why he went so hard after Nathaniel Hackett and so hard after the Jets. Coming up tomorrow on the program, we're here in Green Bay today. We're going to pack it up and begin heading southward. We're going over to Road America, where we'll be at later tonight. Tomorrow, we're going to be at Victory Lane. We have, I believe, 6 drivers coming on tomorrow. Mike Clemens is going to be here tomorrow. Anything breaking out of Big Ten Media Days, we'll try to touch base with Zach Heilprin if we need to do so tomorrow. But a lot of racing talk as we go down for the NASCAR Xfinity Series and the Henry 180 that begins on Saturday at 2 o'clock. So we're going to be there tomorrow to bring you all that flavor, and then keeping our finger on the pulse up here in Green Bay with Mike Clemens. We'll do that as well. So all of that tomorrow as we wrap up a fun week here in Green Bay. We're also going to hear some more. Samori Torre spoke to the media, more of Jordan Love, more of Matt LaFleur tomorrow as well. So we're packed tomorrow. A lot of racing, but a lot of Packers football. Brewers off tonight, back at it tomorrow, as we were saying. They start the 3-game series with the Atlanta Braves tomorrow. So, and then tomorrow, going to the Hill for the Crew. You've got a good one. You've got Adrian Hauser and Chirinos tomorrow going at it for the Braves. So it should be a good one, and that starts the 3-game series for the Crew. So for everybody, and thanks to our friends at D2 as well, which is the bar restaurant right next to us here, next to the Best Western. Thanks to them for being a part of the program and helping us out and really, giving us this big space that we had to use today in the Big